Most people are not afraid of dying. They are afraid of realizing too late that they never truly lived. They spent their best years overthinking, pleasing others, chasing approval, carrying old pain, and waiting for the perfect moment to finally choose themselves. But Buddhism teaches that the perfect moment does not exist. There is only this moment and what you do with it. Every day you delay your peace, another piece of your life quietly disappears. So before life becomes a memory, before time teaches you through regret, and before you reach the end wishing you had lived differently, listen carefully. These 7 Buddhist lessons may help you return to yourself before it is too late. 1. Stop living only to satisfy other people. Many people lose themselves because they spend their whole lives trying to make everyone else happy. They constantly seek approval, fear judgment, and change themselves just to be accepted by others. Slowly, they stop listening to their own heart and begin living according to other people's expectations. Buddhism teaches that attachment to approval creates suffering. The more your happiness depends on how others see you, the less peace you will have inside yourself. You become emotionally exhausted trying to please everyone while ignoring your own needs, dreams, and peace. The truth is, no matter how hard you try, some people will still misunderstand you or judge you. So destroying your life trying to satisfy everyone is a battle you can never truly win. Real peace begins when you stop abandoning yourself for acceptance. Live honestly, protect your peace. Make choices that feel true to your soul instead of constantly trying to fit into the expectations of the world, because your life is too short to spend it pretending to be someone you are not. 2. Most of your worries will never truly matter. A huge part of human suffering comes from worrying about things that may never even happen. The mind constantly creates fear, overthinks situations, imagines worst-case scenarios, and turns small problems into emotional disasters. One small issue can stay in the mind all day, not because it is truly dangerous, but because the mind keeps feeding it with fear and attention. Many people mentally suffer from situations that do not even exist yet. They worry about failure before trying, rejection before anyone says no, and problems before they even happen. Even when life is peaceful, the mind keeps searching for something to fear. This is why so many people feel emotionally tired all the time. Buddhism teaches that thoughts are temporary, and not every thought deserves your attention. Just because your mind creates a fearful thought does not mean it is true. But most people immediately believe every negative thought they have, and slowly those thoughts begin controlling their emotions and stealing their peace. Many people waste years stressing about the future instead of enjoying the present moment. They keep waiting for life to become perfect before allowing themselves to feel calm or happy. But life will always have uncertainty. The mind will always create something else to worry about if you keep feeding it fear. Peace begins when you stop treating every anxious thought like the truth. Learn to observe your thoughts without immediately reacting to them. Sometimes the mind creates storms that have nothing to do with reality. And the less attention you give unnecessary worries, the weaker they become. Do not waste your precious life trapped inside endless overthinking. Most worries will never matter as much as your mind makes them seem. Life becomes lighter when you stop carrying unnecessary mental suffering every single day. 3. Learn to enjoy your own presence. Many people are afraid of being alone because they never learned how to feel peaceful with themselves. The moment silence appears, they search for distractions, attention, or constant company because being alone makes them uncomfortable. They feel empty when nobody is around because their happiness depends too much on other people. But Buddhism teaches that solitude is not punishment. Solitude can become a powerful place of healing, clarity, and self-understanding. When you spend quiet time with yourself, you begin noticing your thoughts, emotions, habits, and inner struggles more clearly. You begin understanding who you truly are without the noise of the world constantly distracting you. Most people spend their lives trying to escape loneliness, even if it means staying around the wrong people. They tolerate disrespect, fake friendships, unhealthy relationships, and emotional stress simply because they are afraid to be alone. But forcing yourself to stay connected to people who destroy your peace creates even deeper suffering. A person who learns to enjoy their own presence becomes emotionally stronger. They stop begging for attention. They stop depending on others to feel valuable. Their happiness no longer completely depends on who stays or who leaves their life. Instead of constantly chasing people, they begin protecting their own energy and peace. Buddhism teaches that real peace comes from within, not from external validation. The more comfortable you become with yourself, the less desperate you feel for approval, attention, or emotional dependence. Silence no longer feels lonely, it begins feeling peaceful. Do not spend your whole life running away from yourself. Learn to sit with yourself calmly. Learn to enjoy your own company. Because when you finally build a peaceful relationship with yourself, life becomes much lighter, calmer, and more meaningful. 4. Life is happening. Right now, not someday. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for the right time to finally feel happy. They believe life will become meaningful later, after they become successful, after they solve every problem, after they heal emotionally, or after everything finally feels perfect. So they keep postponing their peace, their joy, and their ability to truly live. But Buddhism teaches a powerful truth. Life is not waiting somewhere in the future. Life is happening right now, in this very moment. The problem is that most people are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. While eating, they are worrying. While resting, they are overthinking. While spending time with loved ones, their mind is trapped in stress, fear, or endless thoughts about tomorrow. Because of this, they move through life without truly experiencing it. Days pass quickly, months disappear, and years slowly slip away while the mind remains distracted almost all the time. Many people think they have unlimited time, so they continue delaying the life they actually want to live. They delay peace, they delay happiness, they delay rest. They tell themselves they will finally slow down someday in the future. But life keeps moving whether you are paying attention or not. One day, people suddenly look back and realize how fast everything disappeared. Youth fades, opportunities fade, relationships change. Moments that once felt ordinary become memories you can never return to again. Buddhism teaches the truth of impermanence, the understanding that everything in life changes and nothing lasts forever. This is not meant to make you afraid. It is meant to wake you up. It is meant to remind you that life is precious and temporary. Every moment you are alive is something that will never happen exactly the same way again. Many people are so focused on surviving life that they forget to experience it. They become trapped in routines, pressure, stress, comparison, and endless chasing. They rush through every day without noticing the beauty around them. They stop appreciating simple things like silence, nature, peaceful mornings, deep conversations, laughter, or even the feeling of being alive. The sad truth is that many people do not realize they were living good moments until those moments are already gone. They were too distracted to appreciate them while they had them. This is why Buddhism teaches mindfulness and presence. When you become fully present, life begins to feel deeper, calmer, and more meaningful. Simple moments suddenly become valuable again because your attention is no longer constantly trapped in fear or overthinking. You do not need a perfect life to feel alive. You do not need endless success or complete control over everything. Real living begins when you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start appreciating the life already happening in front of you. Enjoy the people you love while they are still here. Protect your peace while you still have time. Slow down enough to actually experience your own existence, because one day life will end for all of us. And one of the greatest regrets a person can carry is realizing they spent most of their life worrying about tomorrow instead of truly living today. 5. Stop carrying emotional weight that is destroying your peace. Many people spend years carrying emotional pain that quietly destroys their inner peace. They carry old heartbreaks, betrayals, regrets, anger, guilt, disappointments, and painful memories everywhere they go. Even when life moves forward, their mind keeps returning to the past again and again. They replay conversations, relive painful moments, and mentally reopen wounds that should have been allowed to heal long ago. Buddhism teaches that attachment is one of the main causes of suffering, and one of the heaviest attachments people carry is attachment to pain. Some people become so connected to their suffering that they no longer know who they are without it. They hold on to resentment because they believe letting go means the pain was acceptable. They hold on to anger because they think it protects them. But in reality, holding on to emotional pain often hurts the person carrying it far more than anyone else. The mind has a dangerous habit of replaying painful experiences repeatedly. A person may physically leave a painful situation, but mentally they continue living inside it every single day. They remember what someone said to them years ago. They remember how someone betrayed them, abandoned them, or made them feel worthless. And because they keep feeding those memories with attention, the emotional pain stays alive inside them. Many people do not realize how much emotional weight they are carrying until it begins affecting every part of their life. It steals their peace, their energy, their happiness, and even their ability to trust people again. Some people become emotionally cold because they are tired of being hurt. Others become constantly anxious because they are afraid of experiencing the same pain again. Slowly, the past begins controlling the present. Buddhism teaches that peace becomes impossible when the mind refuses to let go. This does not mean pretending nothing hurt you. It does not mean denying your pain or forcing yourself to forget what happened. It simply means refusing to spend the rest of your life emotionally chained to something that already ended. Many people continue suffering not because the pain is still happening, but because they keep carrying it mentally every day. They wake up with the same emotional burden. They think about the same problems repeatedly. And over time, emotional suffering becomes part of their identity. But your life is too precious to spend every day carrying emotional poison inside your heart. Every moment spent trapped in resentment is a moment stolen from your peace. Every day spent replaying the past is a day you cannot fully experience the present. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things for many people to understand. Buddhism does not teach forgiveness because people always deserve it. It teaches forgiveness because you deserve peace. Letting go is not about freeing the person who hurt you. It is about freeing yourself from endless emotional suffering. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for closure from others, but true healing begins when you stop expecting the past to change. Some answers may never come. Some apologies may never happen. Some people may never understand the pain they caused you. But if your peace depends on receiving closure from everyone who hurt you, you may stay emotionally trapped forever. Life becomes lighter when you stop carrying things that no longer serve your growth. You begin protecting your inner peace more seriously. You stop giving old pain control over your present emotions. And slowly, your heart begins feeling calmer again. Buddhism reminds us that everything in life changes. Pain changes, emotions change. Difficult seasons pass, but healing becomes difficult when the mind refuses to release what is already gone. Do not spend your whole life emotionally attached to suffering. Learn from the pain, grow from it, but do not live inside it forever. Because you cannot fully experience peace while constantly carrying the emotional weight of the past on your shoulders every single day. 6. Stop sacrificing your entire life for endless achievement. Many people spend their whole lives chasing success without ever truly feeling alive. From a young age, society teaches people that their value depends on achievement. People are taught to constantly prove themselves through money, status, productivity, recognition, or success. Because of this, many grow up believing that peace and happiness only exist somewhere in the future after they finally achieve enough. So they spend years running toward goals, running toward validation, running toward a version of life they believe will finally make them feel complete. They wake up stressed, work endlessly, mentally exhaust themselves, and ignore their inner peace because they believe all the sacrifice will eventually be worth it. But Buddhism teaches a very important truth. Endless craving creates endless suffering. The human mind always wants more. When one goal is achieved, another immediately appears. When one problem is solved, the mind creates a new desire. People think success will finally calm their mind, but often the opposite happens. The more attached people become to achievement, the more anxious they become about losing it, protecting it, or achieving even more. Many people do not realize they are sacrificing their peace until they already feel emotionally empty. They become so focused on productivity that they forget how to enjoy simple moments. Their entire life becomes a cycle of pressure, stress, and endless chasing. Even during rest, their mind continues thinking about work, goals, competition, or the future. Slowly, life stops feeling meaningful and starts feeling like survival. Buddhism does not teach people to avoid growth or ambition. There is nothing wrong with improving your life, building success, or working hard. But there is a difference between healthy ambition and emotional slavery to achievement. Healthy ambition allows you to grow while still protecting your peace. Emotional slavery happens when your entire self-worth becomes dependent on success. Many people secretly believe they are only valuable when they are achieving something. If they are not constantly productive, they feel guilty. If they slow down, they feel like failures. If they are not improving fast enough, they become emotionally harsh toward themselves. Because of this mindset, they never truly relax. Their mind is always carrying pressure. Some people become successful externally, but completely exhausted internally. They may have money, status, followers, or achievements, but inside they still feel empty. Why? Because outer success cannot replace inner peace. No amount of achievement can heal a restless mind that never feels enough. This is why many people reach major goals and still feel dissatisfied afterward. They spent years believing success would finally make them happy, but once they achieve it, the excitement disappears quickly and the mind starts chasing the next thing again. This endless cycle keeps people emotionally trapped for years. Buddhism teaches that attachment to endless desire keeps the mind restless. The problem is not goals themselves. The problem is believing your happiness depends completely on achieving them. When your peace only exists in the future, you miss your entire life while chasing it. Many people postpone living because they are too busy trying to build the perfect future. They tell themselves they will finally relax after making more money. They will finally enjoy life after becoming successful. They will finally spend time with loved ones later. But life does not pause while people are chasing goals. Time keeps moving forward quietly. One day, people suddenly realize years have passed. Their youth disappeared while they were constantly stressed. Relationships weakened because they were emotionally unavailable. Their mental health suffered because they never allowed themselves to slow down, and many begin wondering why they still feel unhappy despite achieving so much. The truth is, achievement without peace becomes another form of suffering. A person can have external success while internally feeling lost, anxious, emotionally disconnected, and spiritually exhausted. Many people become prisoners of their own ambition because they never learned how to separate their worth from their accomplishments. Buddhism reminds us that your existence already has value. You do not need to constantly prove your worth to deserve peace. You do not need to destroy yourself mentally just to feel important. Life is not only about achieving more, it is also about experiencing peace, presence, connection, gratitude, and inner freedom. Many people miss beautiful moments because they are mentally distracted by the future. They stop noticing life itself. They stop appreciating simple things like silence, nature, deep conversations, family, laughter, or peaceful mornings. Their mind becomes so focused on chasing the next achievement that they forget to experience the present moment. The saddest part is that many people only realize this after burnout, emotional collapse, or deep regret. Sometimes life forces people to slow down because they ignored themselves for too long. The body becomes exhausted, the mind becomes overwhelmed, and suddenly all the success in the world cannot replace the peace they lost along the way. Buddhism teaches balance. Work hard, grow, and improve your life, but do not sacrifice your soul in the process. Do not become so obsessed with reaching the future that you completely abandon the present. Your life is happening now, not someday after everything becomes perfect. There is nothing wrong with wanting success, but success should improve your life, not emotionally imprison you. If your achievements are destroying your mental peace, your relationships, your health, or your ability to enjoy life, then the mind has become unbalanced. Many people are constantly comparing themselves to others. They feel behind in life because social media, society, and pressure make them believe they must always achieve more. This comparison creates endless dissatisfaction. No matter how much they accomplish, it never feels enough because someone else always appears more successful. But Buddhism teaches that comparison is a trap that steals peace from the mind. Every person walks a different path in life. Constantly measuring your worth against other people only creates anxiety and emotional suffering. The more you compare yourself, the less grateful you become for your own journey. A peaceful life is far more valuable than endless achievement without joy. A calm mind is more valuable than constant pressure. Emotional freedom is more valuable than approval from society. Many people spend years trying to impress the world while completely neglecting their inner world. Real success is waking up without constant anxiety controlling your mind. Real success is being able to sit peacefully with yourself. Real success is protecting your mental peace while still growing in life. Real success is having meaningful relationships, emotional balance, gratitude, and time to actually experience your existence. One day, none of your achievements will matter as much as the way you lived your life. People rarely regret not working more. They regret not living more. They regret missing moments with people they loved. They regret staying stressed for years over things that no longer matter. They regret sacrificing their peace, chasing things they thought would finally make them feel complete. Buddhism reminds us that happiness is not hidden somewhere at the end of achievement. Peace is something you learn to create within yourself now. If you cannot feel peace during the journey, achieving more will not magically fix the emptiness inside. Slow down sometimes. Breathe deeply sometimes. Enjoy your life while you are still living it. Protect your peace while chasing your goals. Allow yourself to rest without guilt. Learn how to appreciate simple moments again instead of constantly rushing toward the next thing. Because your life is too short to spend every moment stressed, exhausted, and emotionally disconnected from yourself. You were not born only to work endlessly, chase endlessly, and mentally suffer endlessly. You were also meant to experience joy, calmness, connection, awareness, and peace. Do not sacrifice your entire existence trying to earn a future that may never arrive exactly the way you imagined. Live fully while building your future. Protect your soul while chasing your goals. And never forget that a peaceful mind is one of the greatest forms of success a human being can ever achieve. 7. Death is certain, so start living before it is too late. One of the deepest teachings in Buddhism is the understanding that life is temporary. Everything you see around you will one day disappear. Every person, every moment, every emotion, every possession, and every experience is temporary. Yet most people live as if they have endless time. They move through life distracted, emotionally asleep, and constantly postponing their happiness for a future that is never guaranteed. People say they will finally rest later. They will finally enjoy life later. They will finally choose peace later. But later slowly becomes years, and years quietly become a lifetime. Before they realize it, life is already slipping through their hands. Buddhism speaks about death not to create fear, but to awaken awareness. Because when a person truly understands that life is limited, they begin seeing everything differently. Suddenly, small arguments lose importance. Endless worrying feels meaningless. The pressure to impress people becomes less powerful. Many of the things that once controlled the mind no longer feel worth sacrificing peace for. The problem is that most people avoid thinking about death completely. They distract themselves constantly because the idea of impermanence feels uncomfortable. But ignoring death often causes people to waste life carelessly. They live as if tomorrow is guaranteed while postponing the things that truly matter today. Many people spend decades trapped in routines that make them unhappy. They stay in environments that slowly destroy their spirit. They continue carrying emotional pain, resentment, fear, and stress every single day because they think they still have plenty of time to change later. But life does not promise anyone another year, another month, or even another morning. One day, every person will leave this world. One day, your name, your problems, your stress, your achievements, your fears, and your possessions will all remain behind. The body ages. Time moves forward. Nothing stays forever. Buddhism teaches that understanding this truth can completely transform the way you live. When people forget that life is temporary, they begin wasting it on meaningless things. They waste years trying to impress people who do not truly care about them. They waste their peace arguing over small problems. They waste their energy comparing themselves to others. They waste beautiful moments because their mind is trapped in overthinking, fear, and negativity. Many people are physically alive but emotionally disconnected from life itself. They wake up every day, but rarely feel truly present. Their mind is constantly distracted by the future or trapped in the past. Because of this, they miss their own life while it is happening. The sad truth is that many people only wake up after loss, illness, heartbreak, or tragedy. Sometimes it takes pain to remind people how precious life actually is. Suddenly, the things they once stressed over no longer seem important. Suddenly, they realize how much time they wasted worrying about things that never truly mattered. Buddhism teaches that awareness of death can actually make life more meaningful. Because when you truly understand that your time is limited, you begin appreciating ordinary moments much more deeply. Simple things become valuable again. A peaceful morning feels important. A conversation with someone you love feels meaningful. Even silence begins feeling beautiful because you realize none of these moments will last forever. Many people are always chasing something: more success, more money, more approval, more validation. They believe happiness exists somewhere far ahead in the future, but while they are endlessly chasing, life quietly continues passing by. They forget to slow down and actually experience the life they already have. One of the greatest tragedies is reaching old age filled with regret. Regret for not living honestly. Regret for not following your heart. Regret for wasting years trapped in fear. Regret for staying emotionally attached to things that destroyed your peace. Regret for never truly allowing yourself to live. Many people are afraid to make changes because they fear uncertainty. They stay in situations that drain them because they are scared of the unknown. They continue pretending to be someone they are not because they want acceptance from others. But Buddhism teaches that attachment to fear keeps people spiritually trapped. The truth is, nobody escapes death. Rich or poor, successful or unsuccessful, every human being eventually reaches the end of life. And when that moment comes, most of the things people obsessed over will no longer matter. The opinions of strangers will not matter. Endless stress about status will not matter. Constant comparison will not matter. What will matter is whether you truly lived. Did you experience life deeply? Did you protect your peace? Did you appreciate the people you loved while they were still here? Did you spend your life awake and present, or trapped inside endless mental noise? Many people keep waiting for permission to live fully. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect circumstances, or the perfect version of themselves before allowing themselves to feel free. But life is uncertain for everyone. There is no guarantee that the perfect moment will ever arrive. Buddhism reminds us that life is happening now, not next year, not someday in the future, right now. Every breath you take is part of your limited existence. Every moment matters because it can never be repeated again. This does not mean you should live carelessly or selfishly. Buddhism teaches awareness, compassion, and balance. But it also teaches that wasting your life trapped in fear, pressure, and emotional suffering is deeply tragic. Human life is precious. Your existence is precious. And time is something nobody can recover once it disappears. Many people become so focused on surviving life that they forget to experience it. They move from one stressful day to another without ever slowing down. They stop noticing nature. They stop appreciating silence. They stop enjoying simple moments because their mind is constantly overwhelmed. But one day, all of those ordinary moments become memories. The morning sunlight through the window, conversations with loved ones, laughing without stress, walking peacefully outside, sitting quietly with yourself. These small moments are actually life itself, and people often fail to appreciate them until they are gone. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness pulls you back into reality. It reminds you to fully experience the present moment before it disappears. The present moment is the only place life truly exists. The past is already gone. The future is uncertain. But this moment right now is real. Many people spend their entire lives mentally absent. They are always somewhere else inside their mind. They replay old pain or worry endlessly about the future. Because of this, they never fully experience the life unfolding in front of them. Death reminds us that time is not infinite. Every year matters, every day matters, every moment matters. And once people deeply understand this, they begin protecting their peace much more seriously. They stop wanting to waste energy on meaningless drama. They stop chasing constant validation. They stop sacrificing themselves for people who only bring suffering into their life. When you realize life is temporary, your priorities change naturally. Peace becomes more important than proving yourself. Presence becomes more important than endless rushing. Genuine connection becomes more important than superficial approval. You begin wanting a life that feels meaningful instead of a life that only looks impressive from the outside. Many people spend years trying to become successful while neglecting their soul completely. They achieve things externally but internally feel empty, exhausted, and disconnected. Buddhism reminds us that inner peace matters more than endless external achievement without fulfillment. One peaceful moment fully experienced is more valuable than years spent emotionally disconnected from yourself. But modern life constantly pulls people away from presence. There is always another distraction, another pressure, another fear, another reason to postpone peace. This is why so many people reach burnout emotionally. Their mind never rests. They never allow themselves to simply be alive without pressure. They forget that life is not only about surviving responsibilities. It is also about awareness, gratitude, peace, and truly experiencing existence. Do not wait until illness or loss forces you to appreciate life. Do not wait until old age to realize how precious your time was. Do not wait until everything falls apart before understanding what truly matters. Start living now. Tell people you love them while you still can. Protect your peace now instead of waiting for a future moment to finally slow down. Stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. Stop postponing happiness until every problem disappears. Stop believing life begins someday in the future. Life is already happening. Every moment you spend trapped in fear, resentment, comparison, overthinking, or emotional suffering is a moment you can never get back again. And the saddest part is that many people do not realize this until it is too late. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is not something to fear. It is something that gives life meaning. Because things do not last forever, they become precious. Because time is limited, each moment matters. Because life ends, we are reminded to truly live while we still can. Do not waste your existence trying to become perfect. Do not waste your years constantly seeking approval from the world. Do not waste your peace carrying things that no longer matter. One day, none of these things will follow you. What will remain is the way you lived, the way you treated people, the peace you created within yourself, the awareness you brought into your life, the moments you truly appreciated, the courage you had to live honestly and consciously before your time disappeared. Because the greatest tragedy is not death itself. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of your life and realizing you spent most of it distracted, afraid, emotionally exhausted, and disconnected from the beauty of simply being alive. So stop postponing your life. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Protect your peace. Appreciate ordinary moments. Let go of what destroys your soul. Spend time with people who bring light into your life. Learn to enjoy your own presence. Stop waiting for perfect conditions before allowing yourself to feel alive. Because one day, this life will end for every single one of us. And before that day comes, make sure you truly lived. 8. Stop abandoning yourself, just to keep everyone else comfortable. One of the quietest forms of suffering is self-abandonment. It happens slowly, almost invisibly. A person keeps saying yes when they want to say no. They stay silent when something hurts them. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They ignore their own emotional needs so other people can remain comfortable. Over time, they become disconnected from themselves without even realizing it. Many people spend their lives trying to protect everyone else's feelings while completely neglecting their own inner peace. They become so focused on being accepted, loved, needed, or understood that they slowly stop listening to themselves. Their real emotions become hidden beneath people-pleasing, emotional exhaustion, and fear of rejection. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering, and one of the strongest attachments people carry is the attachment to approval. Many people are terrified of disappointing others. They fear being misunderstood. They fear losing relationships. Because of this fear, they continue sacrificing themselves emotionally just to maintain connections that often destroy their peace. The sad truth is that many people lose themselves while trying to avoid losing others. They constantly give their time, energy, patience, and emotional support to everyone around them, but deep inside they feel drained, unappreciated, and emotionally heavy. They become available for everyone else, while secretly falling apart within themselves. And because they are used to ignoring their own needs, they rarely stop to ask one important question: what about my peace? Many people are taught from childhood that choosing themselves is selfish. They are taught to constantly prioritize others, no matter how much emotional pain it causes them. So they grow up believing that suffering quietly is kindness. They believe sacrificing themselves completely is love. But Buddhism teaches balance, awareness, and compassion, not self-destruction. Real compassion should never require you to abandon your soul. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships because they are afraid of being alone. They continue friendships that emotionally drain them because they fear disappointing people. They remain connected to environments that destroy their mental peace simply because they do not want to upset others. Slowly, their emotional energy disappears. The human mind becomes exhausted when it constantly ignores its own truth. You can smile externally while internally feeling empty for years. You can continue functioning while emotionally disconnected from yourself. But eventually, the pain of self-abandonment becomes impossible to ignore. Many people wonder why they feel lost in life, but the answer is often simple. They spent too many years betraying themselves for acceptance. Every time you ignore your inner voice just to make someone else comfortable, you weaken your connection with yourself. Every time you silence your truth out of fear, your inner peace suffers quietly. Every time you tolerate what deeply hurts your spirit, you teach yourself that your own emotional well-being does not matter. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps people finally see the suffering they keep creating for themselves unconsciously. Many people think their pain only comes from others, but often a huge part of their suffering comes from constantly abandoning themselves. Some people become emotionally exhausted because they never allow themselves to rest. Others become bitter because they spent years giving to people who only took from them. Some lose confidence because they constantly shape themselves around the opinions of others instead of developing their own inner stability. The problem with people-pleasing is that it never truly ends. The more you sacrifice yourself for approval, the more emotionally dependent you become on receiving validation from others. You begin needing constant reassurance just to feel valuable, and because of this, your peace becomes controlled by external reactions. But Buddhism reminds us that true peace can never come from constantly chasing acceptance. Peace begins when you stop needing everyone to approve of your existence. Peace begins when you stop apologizing for protecting your mental health. Peace begins when you stop abandoning yourself every time someone else becomes uncomfortable. Many people are afraid to set boundaries because they think boundaries will push people away. But the truth is, healthy boundaries protect your inner peace. Without boundaries, people slowly absorb stress, negativity, manipulation, and emotional pressure from everyone around them until they no longer recognize themselves. A person without boundaries becomes emotionally available to everything. Every opinion affects them. Every criticism hurts deeply. Every conflict drains them. They carry everyone's emotions on their shoulders while secretly struggling to carry their own. Buddhism teaches detachment not because love is wrong, but because unhealthy attachment creates suffering. Loving people should not require losing yourself. Caring for others should not require destroying your peace. Real connection should support your spirit, not slowly suffocate it. Many people stay emotionally trapped because they believe their worth depends on how useful they are to others. They constantly help, sacrifice, and overextend themselves, hoping to feel valued. But when people only appreciate you for what you give, not for who you are, emotional emptiness eventually appears. This is why so many kind people secretly feel exhausted. They spent years pouring energy into others while completely neglecting their own healing, rest, and emotional well-being. Buddhism reminds us that inner peace requires balance. You cannot constantly abandon yourself and expect to feel whole internally. Your soul also needs care. Your mind also needs peace. Your emotions also deserve attention. Many people become disconnected from life because they are constantly emotionally overwhelmed by everyone else's expectations. They rarely have time to breathe mentally. They are always trying to fix problems, keep people happy, avoid conflict, or maintain relationships that already drain their spirit. But one day, many people suddenly realize they spent most of their lives trying to become who everyone else wanted them to be. And deep inside, they feel grief because they barely know themselves anymore. There is something deeply painful about losing your identity while trying to keep everyone around you comfortable. You stop speaking honestly. You stop expressing your real emotions. You stop following your heart. You begin living carefully, afraid of disappointing people. Slowly, your life becomes more about maintaining approval than actually feeling alive. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness helps people reconnect with themselves again. It helps you notice your emotional exhaustion before it destroys you completely. It helps you notice when your relationships no longer feel healthy. It helps you recognize the difference between genuine compassion and self-neglect. Choosing yourself does not mean becoming selfish or cold. It simply means finally acknowledging that your peace matters too. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to leave environments that constantly damage your mental health. You are allowed to protect your energy from people who only bring chaos into your life. You are allowed to rest without constantly proving your worth. You are allowed to stop shrinking yourself just to make others comfortable. Many people fear losing relationships if they stop people-pleasing. But the truth is, relationships built entirely on self-sacrifice often become emotionally unhealthy anyway. If someone only values you when you constantly abandon yourself for them, that connection was already unbalanced from the beginning. Buddhism teaches that attachment to unhealthy relationships creates suffering. Sometimes peace requires distance. Sometimes growth requires letting go. Sometimes healing requires finally choosing yourself after years of emotional neglect. The painful reality is that some people will become uncomfortable the moment you stop sacrificing yourself for them. Why? Because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. They benefited from your silence. They benefited from your fear of disappointing people. But protecting your peace is not wrong. Your life is too short to spend every day emotionally drained because you are afraid of upsetting others. Your existence is too valuable to constantly betray yourself for acceptance. And your inner peace matters far more than temporary approval from people who may never truly understand your heart anyway. Many people reach a point in life where they become emotionally exhausted from constantly carrying everyone else's expectations. They realize they spent years trying to save relationships while losing themselves in the process. And eventually, something inside them changes. They stop chasing validation. They stop explaining themselves constantly. They stop tolerating disrespect just to keep connections alive. They stop sacrificing their mental peace for people who never protected theirs. And slowly, they begin rebuilding a peaceful relationship with themselves again. Buddhism reminds us that life becomes much lighter when you stop carrying unnecessary emotional burdens. One of the heaviest burdens of all is pretending to be someone you are not just to remain accepted by the world around you. You deserve a life where you can breathe peacefully. You deserve relationships where you do not have to abandon yourself to feel loved. You deserve inner peace that is not constantly controlled by other people's opinions, moods, or expectations. And most importantly, you deserve to live honestly before your time in this world disappears. Because one of the saddest ways to live is constantly sacrificing your own soul just to keep everyone else comfortable around you. Do not reach the end of your life realizing you spent decades ignoring your own heart. Choose peace. Choose honesty. Choose emotional freedom. And choose yourself before life quietly passes you by. 9. Stop waiting for life to finally make you happy. One of the biggest illusions people live under is the belief that happiness exists somewhere in the future. Many people spend their whole lives thinking peace will arrive later. Later, after they become successful. Later, after they make more money. Later, after they find the perfect relationship. Later, after life finally becomes easier. Because of this mindset, they keep postponing their happiness while life quietly continues passing by. Buddhism teaches that attachment to future happiness creates suffering. The human mind constantly tells itself that the present moment is not enough. It keeps chasing another achievement, another goal, another experience, or another version of life that promises fulfillment. But even after reaching many of those goals, people often still feel empty inside because the mind immediately creates another desire to chase. This is why so many people feel emotionally restless. Their mind is never fully here. It is always focused on what is missing, what could be better, or what they still have not achieved. They become unable to appreciate the present moment because they believe happiness only exists somewhere ahead of them. Many people spend years saying things like, "I will finally relax after this," or "I will finally enjoy life once everything is fixed." But life never becomes completely perfect. There will always be responsibilities, uncertainty, problems, and challenges. If your peace depends on having a perfect life first, you may spend your entire existence waiting for a happiness that never truly arrives. The sad truth is that many people miss beautiful moments because they are mentally trapped in the future. They cannot enjoy where they are because they are constantly obsessed with where they think they should be instead. Even during peaceful moments, the mind keeps creating pressure. It keeps reminding them of unfinished goals, fears about tomorrow, or things they still lack. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness brings people back into reality. It reminds people that life is not hidden in the future. Life is happening now. The present moment is the only place where peace can actually be experienced. But many people are so distracted mentally that they fail to notice the life unfolding in front of them. Many people believe happiness comes from external things alone. They think a relationship will complete them. They think money will remove all suffering. They think success will finally make them feel enough. But Buddhism teaches that external things are temporary. Relationships change, money changes, success changes, life constantly changes. If your happiness only depends on external conditions, your peace will always feel unstable. This does not mean goals, success, or relationships are bad. Buddhism does not teach people to reject life completely. It teaches balance and awareness. The problem begins when people emotionally depend on external achievements to finally feel worthy or complete inside themselves. Many people unknowingly spend their entire lives emotionally chasing satisfaction. They move from one desire to another without ever learning how to feel content in the present moment. Even after getting what they wanted, the excitement quickly fades because the mind immediately begins searching for the next thing again. This endless cycle keeps people emotionally exhausted. The mind constantly whispers, "Maybe I will finally feel happy when I achieve this next thing." But after achieving it, peace still feels temporary because inner peace was never truly developed within the mind itself. Many people become so focused on creating a better future that they completely neglect the life they already have. They stop appreciating simple moments. They stop feeling grateful for ordinary days. They stop noticing beauty around them because they are mentally trapped in endless striving. One day, they suddenly realize years have passed while they were constantly waiting to finally feel alive. Buddhism reminds us that peace is not something waiting for you in the future. Peace is a way of experiencing life now. A calm mind can experience happiness even during imperfect circumstances. But a restless mind will continue suffering even after gaining many external things. Many people believe they are unhappy because they have not achieved enough yet. But often the deeper problem is that they never learned how to be present, grateful, or emotionally balanced. The mind keeps creating dissatisfaction no matter how much life improves externally. This is why comparison becomes so dangerous. Many people constantly compare their life to others. Social media, society, and pressure make them feel behind in life. They look at other people's success, relationships, appearance, or lifestyle, and begin believing their own life is not enough. Because of this, they lose appreciation for what they already have. Buddhism teaches that comparison steals peace from the mind. Every human being walks a different path. Constantly measuring your worth against other people only creates emotional suffering. The more you compare yourself, the less grateful you become for your own existence. Many people fail to realize that someone else's life will always appear better from the outside. But external appearances rarely reveal inner peace. Some people who seem successful externally are deeply unhappy internally. Some people who appear calm are silently struggling emotionally. This is why chasing external perfection often leads people further away from real fulfillment. True peace comes from learning how to appreciate life without constantly needing more in order to feel complete. Many people also postpone joy because they are emotionally attached to productivity. They believe resting is laziness. They believe slowing down means failure. So even during peaceful moments, guilt follows them mentally. They struggle to enjoy life because their mind constantly pressures them to achieve more. But Buddhism teaches that human life is not only about endless achievement. Life is also about awareness, connection, gratitude, peace, and experiencing existence deeply. Many people reach burnout because they never allow themselves to simply live without pressure. Their mind becomes addicted to stress, chasing, and overthinking. Even when nothing is wrong, they struggle to relax because their identity has become tied to constant striving. One of the saddest things in life is realizing you spent most of your years emotionally unavailable to your own existence. Many people are always physically somewhere but mentally somewhere else. While eating, they are worrying. While spending time with loved ones, they are distracted. While resting, they are thinking about tomorrow. Because of this, they never fully experience the present moment deeply. Buddhism teaches that happiness is often found in ordinary moments people overlook every day: a quiet morning, a deep breath, a peaceful walk outside, genuine laughter, silence, presence, gratitude. These simple experiences become meaningful when the mind finally slows down enough to notice them. But modern life constantly pulls people away from presence. There is always another distraction, another fear, another goal, another pressure demanding attention. Because of this, many people become emotionally disconnected from themselves and from life itself. The human mind has been conditioned to believe that happiness must be earned through struggle. But Buddhism reminds us that peace is already available within the present moment if you stop mentally resisting life constantly. This does not mean life will always feel easy. There will still be pain, uncertainty, heartbreak, and difficult seasons. Buddhism never promises a life without suffering. Instead, it teaches people how to stop creating unnecessary suffering through attachment, overthinking, comparison, and endless craving. Many people keep waiting for life to finally give them permission to feel happy. But happiness does not arrive like a reward after all problems disappear. Peace begins when you stop postponing your life. Peace begins when you stop believing your worth depends entirely on achievement. Peace begins when you stop chasing validation from the world. Peace begins when you finally appreciate what already exists in front of you. Many people think happiness is something huge and dramatic, but often happiness quietly exists inside small moments people ignore every day. The warmth of sunlight, a calm evening, feeling emotionally safe, a peaceful conversation, a quiet moment without stress. These simple experiences become powerful when the mind is truly present. Buddhism reminds us that life becomes meaningful when we stop constantly searching outside ourselves for what can only be developed within. No amount of money can permanently calm a restless mind. No relationship can permanently heal a person who abandons themselves emotionally. No achievement can permanently satisfy a mind addicted to endless craving. Inner peace must be developed consciously. Many people continue chasing happiness externally while completely neglecting their inner world. They focus on appearance, status, productivity, and success while their emotional life quietly suffers. Over time, this creates deep emptiness because external success without inner peace eventually feels hollow. One day, many people wake up and realize they spent decades chasing things they thought would complete them, only to discover they still feel disconnected internally. Buddhism teaches that true freedom begins when you stop emotionally depending on life to constantly satisfy you. Life will always change. Good moments come and go. Difficult moments come and go. Nothing remains permanent. But a peaceful mind learns how to remain grounded even while life changes around it. Do not spend your whole life waiting for perfect circumstances before allowing yourself to feel alive. Do not postpone joy until every problem disappears. Do not wait until you become successful to finally appreciate your existence. Your life is already happening. This moment matters. This breath matters. Your peace matters now, not someday in the future. Because one day, life will end for all of us. And many people will realize too late that they spent most of their existence chasing happiness instead of actually experiencing the life already unfolding in front of them. So slow down sometimes. Appreciate simple moments. Protect your peace. Let go of unnecessary pressure. Stop comparing your path to everyone else. And stop waiting for life to finally make you happy before you allow yourself to truly live. 10. Your life changes the moment you stop escaping yourself. One of the deepest forms of suffering is constantly trying to escape yourself. Many people spend their entire lives distracting themselves because they are uncomfortable being alone with their own thoughts, emotions, and inner reality. The moment silence appears, they immediately search for noise, entertainment, social media, work, relationships, or anything that prevents them from sitting quietly with themselves. Buddhism teaches that most people are not actually afraid of silence. They are afraid of what silence reveals. When life becomes quiet, hidden emotions begin surfacing. Unhealed pain appears, fear appears, loneliness appears, regret appears. Many people suddenly realize how emotionally exhausted they truly are underneath all the distractions they use every day. Because of this, they continue running from themselves without even realizing it. Some people escape through constant busyness. Others escape through endless scrolling, unhealthy relationships, attention-seeking, overworking, or chasing temporary pleasure. But no distraction can permanently silence inner suffering. Eventually, the mind becomes tired. Eventually, the emotional emptiness returns. The sad truth is that many people know everything about the outside world, but almost nothing about themselves. They understand other people's emotions better than their own. They spend years trying to fix everyone around them while ignoring the chaos inside their own heart. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness forces people to finally look inward honestly. And for many people, this becomes uncomfortable at first. The moment they stop distracting themselves, they begin noticing how much pain, fear, insecurity, and emotional weight they have been carrying for years. Many people avoid being alone because they do not like the thoughts waiting for them in silence. They fear overthinking, they fear loneliness, they fear feeling empty. So they constantly surround themselves with stimulation just to avoid facing themselves deeply. But the problem with constantly escaping yourself is that you never truly heal. You may temporarily distract your mind, but inner suffering quietly remains beneath the surface. This is why many people continue feeling emotionally restless, even during good moments. Their outer life may appear normal, but internally they still feel disconnected from themselves. Many people believe happiness comes from finding the right relationship, achieving success, or receiving validation from others. But Buddhism teaches that if you cannot peacefully sit with yourself, external things will never fully satisfy you for long. Inner peace must be developed within your own mind first. A person who constantly escapes themselves becomes emotionally dependent on distractions. Silence feels unbearable. Solitude feels painful. Stillness feels uncomfortable. They become addicted to stimulation because it temporarily protects them from facing their deeper emotional reality. But Buddhism reminds us that healing begins when we stop running. Healing begins when you finally allow yourself to feel what you have been avoiding for years. Healing begins when you sit quietly with your mind instead of constantly escaping it. Many people carry unresolved emotional pain from childhood, heartbreak, rejection, failure, loneliness, or years of self-neglect. Instead of facing these emotions directly, they bury them beneath distractions. But buried emotions do not disappear. They quietly influence thoughts, relationships, behaviors, and emotional reactions every day. This is why some people become emotionally reactive over small things. Their mind is already carrying years of unprocessed emotional weight. One small problem becomes overwhelming because the inner world is already exhausted. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness helps people observe their inner world without immediately running away from it. Instead of constantly reacting, escaping, or suppressing emotions, mindfulness teaches awareness and acceptance. Many people spend years fighting themselves internally. They criticize themselves constantly. They compare themselves to others. They replay old mistakes repeatedly. They carry shame, guilt, insecurity, and self-hatred quietly inside. Because of this, being alone feels painful because silence forces them to hear the way they truly speak to themselves internally. The relationship you have with yourself shapes your entire experience of life. If your inner world is constantly chaotic, external success will not fully bring peace. If your mind is constantly attacking itself, no amount of validation from others will ever feel enough. If you secretly dislike yourself, external achievements will only create temporary satisfaction before emptiness returns again. This is why Buddhism focuses so deeply on self-awareness. The outer world often reflects the condition of the inner world. A restless mind creates suffering everywhere it goes, but a peaceful mind experiences life differently. Many people are searching for peace externally while internally abandoning themselves every day. They ignore their emotional needs. They never allow themselves to rest. They constantly seek approval from others. They silence their true feelings. They force themselves to stay strong emotionally, even when deeply overwhelmed. Over time, they become strangers to themselves, and this emotional disconnection creates deep suffering. Many people are terrified of loneliness, but often what they truly fear is meeting themselves honestly for the first time. Because when distractions disappear, they begin seeing how emotionally exhausted they really are. Buddhism teaches that awareness is not meant to punish you. Awareness is meant to free you. When you finally become honest with yourself, healing becomes possible. You begin recognizing unhealthy emotional patterns. You begin understanding why certain things trigger you deeply. You begin noticing how much suffering comes from attachment, fear, comparison, and self-rejection. And slowly, self-understanding begins replacing self-avoidance. Many people spend years trying to become someone else because they secretly believe who they are is not enough. They wear emotional masks to gain acceptance. They hide their real emotions. They constantly perform for the world while internally feeling disconnected and exhausted. But Buddhism teaches authenticity. Peace begins when you stop pretending constantly. Peace begins when you stop running from your inner reality. Peace begins when you finally allow yourself to be human instead of trying to appear perfect all the time. The truth is, every human being carries pain. Every person struggles internally in some way. But many people suffer longer than necessary because they never slow down enough to truly understand themselves. Many people also fear stillness because stillness reveals how dependent they became on external distractions. Without stimulation, they suddenly feel anxious, bored, empty, or emotionally uncomfortable. But Buddhism teaches that stillness is where clarity grows. When the mind finally becomes quiet, you begin hearing yourself clearly again. You begin recognizing what truly matters to you. You begin seeing which relationships drain your peace. You begin understanding which habits are damaging your spirit. You begin reconnecting with parts of yourself that were ignored for years. This is why solitude can become deeply healing. A person who learns how to peacefully sit with themselves becomes emotionally stronger. They no longer desperately need constant attention, noise, or validation to feel okay internally. Their peace slowly becomes more stable because it no longer depends entirely on external stimulation. Many people constantly chase relationships because they believe another person will finally remove their loneliness. But loneliness often cannot be healed externally alone. If you feel disconnected from yourself, no relationship can permanently fill that emptiness for you. This is why some people continue feeling lonely even while surrounded by others. Buddhism teaches that true connection begins within. When you build a peaceful relationship with yourself, your entire life changes. You stop begging for emotional validation. You stop tolerating unhealthy treatment just to avoid being alone. You stop abandoning yourself to keep relationships alive. And slowly, you begin experiencing life from a calmer place internally. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they never stop to breathe mentally. Their mind is constantly overstimulated. Notifications, pressure, comparison, fear, social expectations, endless thoughts, and distractions consume their attention every day. Modern life teaches people how to stay busy, but rarely teaches them how to sit peacefully with themselves. Because of this, many people lose their connection with their own inner world completely. Buddhism reminds us that peace is not found through constant escape. Peace is found through awareness. Peace is found through presence. Peace is found through finally facing yourself honestly instead of constantly running away. Many people spend their entire lives searching everywhere for peace, except within themselves. But no external achievement can permanently calm a mind that fears stillness. No amount of attention can permanently heal self-rejection. No distraction can permanently silence emotional pain. At some point, every person must eventually face themselves honestly. And strangely, this becomes the beginning of freedom. Because the moment you stop escaping yourself, you finally begin understanding yourself. The moment you stop numbing your emotions constantly, healing begins. The moment you stop performing for the world, authenticity begins. And the moment you stop running from your inner world, real peace slowly becomes possible. Do not spend your whole life distracted from yourself. Do not spend your years constantly escaping silence because you fear what you may feel inside. Slow down sometimes. Sit quietly sometimes. Listen to your own mind compassionately instead of constantly judging it. Allow yourself to rest emotionally. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to heal. Because your relationship with yourself becomes the foundation of your entire life. And the moment you finally stop escaping yourself may become the exact moment your life truly begins changing forever. 11. The life you keep postponing is slowly disappearing. One of the saddest truths about human life is that many people never truly live in the present moment. They keep postponing their happiness, their peace, their healing, and their dreams while believing they still have plenty of time left. They constantly tell themselves that life will finally begin later. Later, when things calm down. Later, when they feel more confident. Later, when they become successful enough. Later, when everything finally becomes perfect. But Buddhism teaches something deeply important. Life is not waiting for you in the future. Life is happening right now. And every moment you spend postponing your peace is a moment of your existence that quietly disappears forever. Many people live as if they are preparing to live instead of actually living. They spend years trapped in routines, stress, fear, emotional exhaustion, and endless overthinking. Their body continues moving through life, but mentally and emotionally they remain disconnected from the present moment. Days pass quickly, months disappear, years silently fade away. And before they realize it, a huge part of their life is already gone. The mind constantly creates the illusion that there will always be more time later, more time to rest, more time to enjoy life, more time to heal relationships, more time to follow dreams, more time to become emotionally free. But Buddhism reminds us that nothing in life is guaranteed. Time moves forward whether you are fully awake to your life or not. Many people are so focused on surviving the future that they completely miss the present. They wake up stressed. They rush through their days distracted. They rarely slow down enough to actually experience life deeply. Even during peaceful moments, the mind remains trapped in worries, responsibilities, pressure, or endless thoughts about tomorrow. Because of this, Many people never truly feel alive. They exist physically, but emotionally they are disconnected from the beauty of being present. The sad part is that most people do not realize how precious ordinary moments were until those moments are already gone. A conversation with someone you love, a peaceful morning, laughter, silence, youth, health, time with family. Simple moments that once felt ordinary eventually become memories people wish they appreciated more deeply while they still had them. Buddhism teaches impermanence, the truth that everything changes constantly. Nothing lasts forever. Seasons change, relationships change, people change, the body changes, life itself changes moment by moment. Understanding this truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to awaken awareness. Because when you truly understand that life is temporary, you stop wanting to waste it carelessly. Many people postpone happiness because they believe peace only comes after achieving enough externally. They think they must first become successful, attractive, financially secure, emotionally perfect, or completely free from problems before allowing themselves to truly enjoy life. But the mind always creates another condition before happiness feels acceptable. This is why so many people remain emotionally restless even after achieving goals they once believed would finally complete them. The problem is not always life itself. Often the deeper problem is that the mind never learned how to be present. Many people are addicted to someday. Someday they will travel. Someday they will slow down. Someday they will spend more time with loved ones. Someday they will prioritize peace. Someday they will finally live authentically, but sometimes someday never comes. Buddhism reminds us that attachment to the future can become another form of suffering. When the mind constantly lives somewhere ahead, it misses the only moment where life truly exists, the present. The present moment is where peace can be felt. The present moment is where connection happens. The present moment is where life is actually experienced. But many people spend most of their existence mentally absent from it. One of the biggest reasons people postpone life is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. Because of fear, many people stay trapped in lives that no longer feel meaningful to them. They remain in environments that slowly drain their spirit. They continue pretending to be someone they are not because they fear change. They suppress their dreams because they are afraid of disappointing others. Slowly their soul becomes tired. Buddhism teaches that attachment to fear keeps people spiritually trapped. The mind constantly imagines worst-case scenarios and convinces people not to take risks, not to speak honestly, not to pursue what truly matters to them. But the deeper tragedy is not failure itself. The deeper tragedy is reaching the end of life, realizing fear controlled your entire existence. Many people spend decades waiting to feel ready before they fully live. But life rarely waits until you feel perfectly prepared. Time continues moving no matter how uncertain you feel internally. This is why awareness is so important in Buddhism. Awareness wakes people up from unconscious living. It reminds people to stop moving through life mechanically. It reminds people to notice how quickly everything changes. Many people are emotionally asleep. They wake up and repeat the same exhausting cycle every day without questioning whether they are truly happy. They carry emotional pain for years without healing it. They stay mentally overwhelmed without ever slowing down. They constantly chase more while secretly feeling empty inside. And because everyone around them is living similarly, this lifestyle begins feeling normal. But Buddhism reminds us that normal does not always mean healthy. A person can spend their whole life busy and still feel deeply disconnected from themselves. A person can appear successful externally while internally feeling spiritually exhausted. A person can constantly surround themselves with distractions while secretly feeling empty inside. Many people believe they are waiting for life to begin, but life already began long ago. Every sunrise you ignored while rushing, every peaceful moment you overlooked because you were distracted, every person you loved but failed to fully appreciate, every ordinary day you assumed would always exist. These moments were life itself. One day, many people suddenly realize how fast everything disappeared. Their youth faded while they were constantly stressed. Years passed while they were emotionally distracted. Relationships changed while they remained mentally absent. Opportunities disappeared while they kept postponing action. And often, regret appears not because life was imperfect, but because they failed to fully experience it while they had the chance. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness pulls people back into reality again. It teaches people to notice the present moment instead of constantly escaping into the future or becoming trapped in the past. Mindfulness allows ordinary life to feel meaningful again. The warmth of sunlight, the sound of rain, a calm breath, a genuine conversation, silence without anxiety. These simple experiences become powerful when the mind finally slows down enough to fully experience them. But modern life constantly trains people to rush, always achieve more, always consume more, always compare more, always stay distracted. Because of this, many people lose their connection with life itself. The human mind becomes so overwhelmed with pressure and stimulation that it forgets how to simply exist peacefully. Many people are constantly waiting for a future version of life where they will finally allow themselves to rest emotionally. But Buddhism reminds us that peace is not found in some distant future. Peace begins when you stop mentally abandoning the present moment. This does not mean ignoring responsibilities or pretending life has no difficulties. Buddhism never teaches escape from reality. It teaches awareness within reality. Life will always contain uncertainty. There will always be problems sometimes. There will always be pain, change, and difficult seasons. But postponing your entire life because things are imperfect only creates more suffering. Many people secretly believe they must earn peace through endless struggle first. They feel guilty resting. They feel guilty slowing down. They feel guilty appreciating life before everything is fully solved. Because of this mindset, they become emotionally disconnected from joy itself. They no longer know how to simply sit peacefully without feeling pressure internally. But your existence is not meant to become endless emotional survival. You were not born only to worry constantly. You were not born only to endlessly chase approval, success, and validation. You were also meant to feel alive, to experience connection, to appreciate beauty, to feel peace internally, to experience life consciously before your time disappears. Many people reach a point in life where they suddenly realize how temporary everything truly is. A loss happens, someone passes away, their body becomes tired, a difficult experience forces them to slow down, and suddenly things they once obsessed over no longer seem important anymore. The opinions of strangers lose importance. Endless comparison loses importance. Status loses importance. What begins mattering is peace, connection, presence, authenticity, and time itself. Buddhism teaches that awareness of impermanence can actually make life more beautiful. Because when you deeply understand that moments do not last forever, gratitude naturally grows within you. You begin appreciating people more deeply. You begin protecting your peace more seriously. You begin wanting a simpler and more meaningful life instead of endless emotional chaos. And slowly, the mind begins waking up from unconscious living. Do not spend your entire life emotionally distracted from your own existence. Do not keep postponing joy while waiting for perfection. Do not allow fear to steal years from your life. Do not stay trapped in emotional survival mode forever. Life is happening now. This moment matters. Your peace matters now. Your happiness matters now. Your healing matters now. Many people assume they have more time than they actually do, but none of us truly know how much time remains. This is why Buddhism teaches presence so deeply, because when you become fully present, life suddenly feels more real, more meaningful, and more precious. You stop taking ordinary moments for granted. You stop wasting energy on things that do not truly matter. You stop delaying the life your soul has been craving for years, and instead of constantly preparing to live someday, you finally begin truly living now. Because one day, your life story will end. And before that day comes, do not let your greatest regret become realizing you spent most of your existence waiting for life to finally begin while it was already quietly passing you by the entire time. 12. The more present you become, the more alive you feel. One of the biggest reasons people feel emotionally disconnected from life is because their mind is almost never fully present. Even when life is happening in front of them, their thoughts are somewhere else. While eating, they are worrying about tomorrow. While spending time with loved ones, they are distracted by stress. While resting, they are replaying the past. Because of this, many people move through life without ever truly experiencing it deeply. Buddhism teaches that suffering often comes from mental attachment to the past and future. The human mind constantly travels away from the present moment. It revisits old pain, regrets, failures, and emotional wounds, or it becomes obsessed with fears, pressure, uncertainty, and imagined future problems. As a result, people become disconnected from the only place where life is actually happening, the present moment. Many people believe they are living, but in reality they are mostly thinking about life instead of experiencing it. Their mind never rests. Their attention is constantly divided. Their emotions feel heavy because they are mentally carrying yesterday and tomorrow at the same time. This creates deep emotional exhaustion. The modern world constantly trains people to become distracted. Notifications, comparison, pressure, endless information, social media, and overstimulation pull attention in every direction. Because of this, many people lose the ability to simply sit peacefully in the moment without needing constant stimulation. Silence begins feeling uncomfortable. Stillness feels strange. The mind becomes addicted to movement, distraction, and overthinking. But Buddhism teaches that presence is where peace lives. The more present you become, the more life begins opening in front of you again. Simple things start feeling meaningful. Ordinary moments feel deeper. Your mind becomes calmer because it is no longer constantly trapped inside mental noise. Many people spend years emotionally disconnected from themselves because they are always mentally somewhere else. They rush through meals without tasting them. They walk through nature without noticing it. They spend time with loved ones while staring at screens. They listen to conversations while their mind is thinking about something else entirely. Because of this, life starts feeling empty and repetitive. Not because life itself has no beauty, but because attention is no longer fully present enough to notice it. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people with reality again. It teaches awareness of the present moment without constantly judging, resisting, or escaping it. When the mind finally slows down, life suddenly feels more real. You notice your breathing. You notice the sounds around you. You notice beauty in ordinary moments. You notice emotions more clearly. You notice how much of your suffering was created by constant mental distraction. Many people are physically alive, but mentally absent almost all the time. Their body exists in the present, but their mind constantly escapes into overthinking. Because of this, they fail to fully experience the beauty of their own existence. One of the saddest things in life is realizing years passed while your mind was distracted the entire time. Many people look back and barely remember huge parts of their life clearly because they were never truly present while living it. They were stressed, emotionally overwhelmed, constantly rushing, or mentally consumed by pressure. And because of this, life moved past them almost like a blur. Buddhism reminds us that awareness slows life down. The more present you become, the more deeply you experience moments. Time stops feeling like it is disappearing so quickly because your attention is no longer constantly trapped somewhere else. A peaceful morning suddenly feels valuable. A quiet conversation feels meaningful. Even small moments become beautiful because your awareness is fully there to experience them. But many people are too mentally distracted to notice how precious ordinary life already is. They believe happiness must come from huge achievements, dramatic changes, or external success. Meanwhile, life quietly offers small moments of peace every day that go completely unnoticed. The warmth of sunlight through a window, the sound of rain, a calm breath, silence without anxiety, a genuine laugh, a peaceful walk outside. These moments seem small, but they are actually life itself. The problem is that many people are mentally absent while these moments happen. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is enough, not because life is always easy, but because the present moment is the only place where peace can truly be experienced. The past already exists only in memory. The future exists only in imagination. Yet most people spend almost all of their emotional energy trapped inside these two mental worlds. Many people replay old mistakes endlessly. They mentally relive painful memories for years. They carry regret everywhere. Others constantly fear the future. They overthink what might happen. They imagine worst-case scenarios constantly. Because of this, their mind never feels calm. The body becomes tense, the emotions become heavy, and life itself starts feeling emotionally exhausting. But Buddhism teaches that much of this suffering comes from mental attachment, not from the present moment itself. Right now, in many moments, nothing dangerous is actually happening, yet the mind continues creating emotional suffering through endless thinking. This is why mindfulness becomes so powerful. Mindfulness interrupts unconscious mental noise. It helps people observe thoughts without immediately becoming trapped inside them. It helps people return to reality instead of endlessly living inside fear, regret, and overthinking. Many people spend their whole lives searching for peace externally while ignoring the condition of their own mind internally. They think peace will come after success, after money, after approval, after life finally becomes perfect. But Buddhism reminds us that a restless mind will continue suffering even inside perfect circumstances. If the mind cannot be present, external success alone will never fully satisfy it. A person can sit in a beautiful place while mentally drowning in anxiety. A person can achieve major goals while internally feeling disconnected and emotionally empty. This is why inner awareness matters more than many people realize. Many people also struggle with presence because they are emotionally addicted to constant stimulation. Silence feels boring to them. Stillness feels uncomfortable. They always need entertainment, scrolling, noise, or distraction because they no longer know how to simply exist peacefully without stimulation. But the more addicted the mind becomes to distraction, the harder it becomes to feel deeply connected to life itself. Buddhism teaches simplicity because simplicity calms the mind. The more mental noise disappears, the more clearly life can actually be experienced. Many people think presence means doing nothing, but true presence is actually a deeply alive state. When you are fully present, your attention becomes sharper, your emotions become clearer, your experiences feel deeper, life stops feeling mechanical and begins feeling meaningful again. The mind no longer rushes constantly. You stop obsessing over every problem. You stop mentally living 10 steps ahead all the time. And slowly, inner calm begins replacing emotional chaos. Many people are emotionally exhausted not because life is impossible, but because their mind never truly rests. Even during peaceful moments, they continue carrying mental pressure internally. They overthink conversations. They worry about tomorrow. They compare themselves to others. Their thoughts never slow down enough to simply experience peace. This constant mental movement disconnects people from life itself. Buddhism reminds us that peace is not hidden somewhere far away. Peace begins when the mind stops resisting the present moment constantly. This does not mean every moment feels perfect. Difficult emotions still exist. Pain still exists. problems still exist, but presence changes your relationship with these experiences. Instead of becoming completely consumed by every thought and emotion, you begin observing them with awareness. And this awareness creates emotional space. Many people react automatically to every feeling. If anxiety appears, they panic. If sadness appears, they resist it. If uncertainty appears, they overthink endlessly. Because of this, emotions begin controlling their entire inner world. But mindfulness teaches observation instead of immediate reaction. You begin realizing thoughts are temporary, emotions are temporary, difficult moments are temporary, and slowly the mind becomes less emotionally reactive. Many people spend years unconsciously rushing through life because they believe slowing down means falling behind. Society constantly pressures people to achieve more, consume more, move faster, and stay productive. Because of this, people rarely allow themselves to simply breathe mentally. But life is not meant to become endless emotional pressure. You were not born only to survive stress every day. You were also meant to experience peace, connection, awareness, and presence. The more present you become, the more grateful you naturally become as well. Gratitude grows when attention returns to the present moment. You begin noticing things you once ignored completely. You begin appreciating ordinary experiences again. And slowly, life stops feeling empty because your awareness is finally awake enough to experience it fully. Many people think happiness comes from changing everything externally, but often life begins changing the moment awareness changes internally. The same peaceful morning feels different when you are fully present. The same conversation feels deeper when your attention is truly there. The same life begins feeling more meaningful because your mind is no longer completely consumed by distraction. Buddhism teaches that awareness transforms ordinary life into something sacred, not because reality suddenly becomes perfect, but because presence allows you to actually experience it deeply. Many people lose years trapped inside unconscious living. They wake up stressed, rush through the day distracted, fall asleep mentally exhausted, and repeat the same cycle again and again. But awareness breaks this cycle. Awareness slows life down. Awareness reconnects people with themselves. Awareness reminds people that their existence is happening right now. This breath matters. This moment matters. This life matters. Many people wait for huge moments before allowing themselves to feel alive. But life is mostly made of ordinary moments. If you cannot experience peace within ordinary moments, you may spend your whole existence endlessly chasing fulfillment without ever truly finding it. Buddhism reminds us that true peace is not hidden in the future. Peace exists here, inside this moment, inside awareness, inside presence, inside your ability to fully experience life before it disappears. One day, all of us will leave this world. And when that moment comes, the things that may matter most are often not the endless worries, achievements, or distractions that consumed the mind for years. What matters is whether you truly experienced your life while you had it. Did you notice the beauty around you? Did you appreciate people while they were still here? Did you allow yourself to feel alive, or were you mentally absent almost the entire time? The more present you become, the more deeply you begin living. And the more deeply you live, the less likely you are to reach the end of life, filled with regret for all the moments your distracted mind failed to truly experience while they quietly passed you by forever. 13. You will never feel truly alive until you let go of what is draining your soul. Many people secretly feel emotionally exhausted every single day, but they cannot fully understand why. They wake up tired even after resting. Their mind feels heavy even when nothing dramatic is happening. They lose motivation, peace, and emotional energy slowly over time. And often, the real reason is simple. They are carrying too many things that quietly drain their soul. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when people become attached to what destroys their inner peace. Many people continue holding on to relationships, habits, environments, fears, expectations, emotional wounds, and mental patterns that slowly poison their spirit from within. Even though these things make them unhappy, they continue carrying them because they fear letting go. Some people hold on to painful relationships because they are afraid of loneliness. Some hold on to old resentment because they think anger protects them. Some hold on to unhealthy habits because those habits feel familiar. Others hold on to false versions of themselves because they want approval from the world. Slowly, life becomes emotionally heavy. The soul becomes tired, and the mind loses its ability to feel fully alive. Many people do not realize how much emotional weight they are carrying because they became used to surviving in emotional exhaustion. Stress feels normal. Anxiety feels normal. Emotional overwhelm feels normal. But Buddhism reminds us that a restless and exhausted mind is not the natural state of human existence. The human spirit was not meant to constantly live under emotional pressure. The problem is that many people keep forcing themselves to carry things that no longer belong in their life. They stay connected to situations that destroy their peace because they fear change. They continue giving energy to people who only drain them emotionally. They continue replaying painful memories for years. They continue trying to fix everything and everyone around them while completely neglecting their own healing. Over time, the mind becomes deeply tired. Many people are physically functioning but spiritually exhausted. They smile while silently struggling internally. They continue their routines while feeling emotionally disconnected from life itself. They wake up every day carrying invisible emotional weight nobody else can see. And because this suffering happens gradually, many people never stop long enough to realize how much their soul is quietly begging for peace. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps people recognize what is truly damaging their inner world. Sometimes the greatest act of healing is not adding more to your life. Sometimes healing begins by finally letting go. Letting go of relationships that only create pain. Letting go of endless comparison. Letting go of emotional attachment to the past. Letting go of guilt that no longer serves growth. Letting go of the need to constantly prove yourself. Many people are terrified of letting go because they believe losing something automatically means failure. But Buddhism teaches that attachment itself often becomes the source of suffering. Sometimes people continue holding on to things long after those things stopped bringing peace into their life. A person can become emotionally attached to suffering itself. They replay old pain daily because it became part of their identity. They remain emotionally connected to people who hurt them because they fear emptiness. They carry resentment for years because anger gives them a temporary sense of control. But slowly, this emotional attachment destroys inner peace completely. Many people are carrying emotional burdens that were never meant to stay with them forever. The mind keeps reopening old wounds. The heart keeps revisiting pain that already ended years ago. And because of this, people become emotionally trapped in cycles of suffering without realizing they are the ones continuing to feed those cycles internally. Buddhism reminds us that peace cannot fully enter a life that is overcrowded with emotional chaos. Many people constantly seek happiness while refusing to release what is destroying their happiness at the same time. They want peace while continuing toxic habits. They want healing while staying emotionally attached to pain. They want calmness while constantly surrounding themselves with negativity and emotional noise. This creates inner conflict. The soul becomes divided between wanting peace and refusing to let go of what destroys peace. Many people also carry invisible pressure from society every single day. Pressure to achieve more, pressure to appear successful, pressure to constantly compare themselves to others, pressure to maintain certain images and expectations. Slowly, these pressures disconnect people from their authentic self. They stop listening to their own heart. They stop asking what truly brings them peace. Instead, they become obsessed with trying to satisfy external expectations while their inner world quietly suffers. Buddhism teaches simplicity because the more unnecessary pressure the mind carries, the harder it becomes to experience life peacefully. A cluttered mind creates emotional suffering even when external life appears successful. Many people believe they are unhappy because they do not have enough. But often, the deeper problem is that they are carrying too much mentally and emotionally. Too much fear, too much resentment, too much comparison, too much pressure, too much attachment, too much emotional noise. And because of this, they no longer feel connected to themselves or to life itself. Many people are so used to emotional chaos that peace actually feels unfamiliar to them. Silence becomes uncomfortable because they are addicted to mental stimulation. Calmness feels strange because the mind became dependent on stress and overthinking. But Buddhism teaches that true peace begins when the mind finally becomes lighter. The more emotional weight you release, the more alive you begin feeling again. You breathe differently. You think more clearly. You feel calmer internally. Simple moments begin feeling meaningful again because your spirit is no longer drowning under constant emotional heaviness. Many people also stay emotionally attached to versions of themselves that no longer exist. They keep identifying with old mistakes, old failures, old heartbreaks, old insecurities. Even though life has changed, their mind remains trapped inside outdated emotional stories. Because of this, they struggle to grow. Buddhism reminds us that everything changes constantly, including you. The person you were years ago is not the person you are now. But growth becomes difficult when you keep emotionally imprisoning yourself inside the past. Many people secretly believe they must carry suffering forever because it became familiar. But suffering should not become your identity. Pain may shape you, difficult experiences may teach you, but you are not meant to emotionally live inside suffering forever. The mind becomes lighter when you stop carrying unnecessary emotional baggage every day. Many people are emotionally exhausted, not because life is impossible, but because they are carrying too much internally. They carry everyone's expectations, everyone's opinions, everyone's emotional problems. They try to save people who refuse to save themselves. They sacrifice their peace repeatedly just to avoid disappointing others, and eventually their soul becomes deeply tired. Buddhism teaches balance and awareness. Compassion does not mean destroying yourself emotionally for everyone around you. You cannot continuously pour energy into the world while completely neglecting your own spirit. A soul that never rests eventually becomes numb. This is why so many people feel disconnected from joy. They have carried emotional heaviness for so long that they forgot what inner calmness even feels like. Many people keep waiting for external life to change before they finally allow themselves to feel peace internally. But Buddhism teaches that peace begins through awareness and release, not endless external control. You cannot control everything. You cannot keep everyone happy. You cannot prevent every painful experience. But you can choose what you continue carrying emotionally every day. You can choose which attachments no longer deserve your energy. You can choose to stop feeding thoughts that constantly create suffering. You can choose to stop reopening emotional wounds that need healing instead of endless replaying. Many people are terrified of letting go because they think emptiness will follow. But often, what arrives after letting go is freedom. Freedom from emotional exhaustion, freedom from constant anxiety, freedom from relationships that destroy peace, freedom from mental chaos, freedom from trying to become someone you were never meant to be. And slowly, life begins feeling lighter again. Buddhism teaches that peace is not something added to your life. Often, peace appears naturally when unnecessary suffering is removed. When the mind is no longer overcrowded with attachment, fear, resentment, comparison, and emotional noise, clarity begins returning naturally. You begin sleeping more peacefully, breathing more deeply, feeling emotionally present again. The beauty of life becomes visible again because your spirit is no longer buried beneath constant heaviness. Many people are always searching for something bigger to finally make them feel alive. But often, life begins changing when you simply release what has been draining your soul for years. A peaceful mind feels more alive than endless external success without inner calmness. A light heart experiences life more deeply than a heavy mind trapped inside emotional chaos. Many people wait until emotional burnout forces them to finally let go. Their body becomes exhausted. Their mind becomes overwhelmed. Their spirit becomes numb. And only then do they realize how unsustainable their emotional life had become. But Buddhism reminds us that awareness allows people to wake up before complete emotional collapse happens. You do not need to wait until suffering destroys you completely before choosing peace. You can begin now. You can stop feeding unnecessary mental suffering now. You can release unhealthy attachments now. You can protect your inner peace now. Many people are constantly chasing happiness while ignoring the fact that their soul is already exhausted from everything they refuse to release. No amount of external success can fully heal a mind that continues carrying emotional poison every day. This is why inner peace matters more than appearances. A simple life with peace is far more meaningful than a chaotic life constantly filled with emotional heaviness. Buddhism teaches that the more attached people become to what destroys them, the more suffering grows within them. But the moment awareness enters, freedom becomes possible. And slowly, through awareness, acceptance, and release, life begins feeling real again. The mind becomes quieter, the heart becomes lighter, the soul begins breathing again. And for the first time in a very long time, you no longer feel like you are merely surviving life emotionally. You finally begin feeling alive again. Because the truth is, you will never fully experience peace while constantly carrying what is draining your soul every single day. So let go. Not because life becomes perfect afterward, but because your spirit deserves freedom before your time in this world quietly disappears forever. The ability to sit quietly without emotional chaos. The ability to feel present and grateful instead of constantly restless. This is why simplicity becomes beautiful to many people later in life. After years of chasing, many finally realize how precious peace actually was. A peaceful morning becomes more meaningful than status. A calm mind becomes more valuable than endless approval. Authentic connection becomes more important than superficial attention, and slowly priorities begin changing. Buddhism reminds us that life becomes lighter when the mind stops endlessly craving more. This does not mean giving up goals or ambition completely. It means no longer sacrificing your soul, trying to achieve external things while completely neglecting inner peace. You can grow while still protecting your spirit. You can work hard while still appreciating life. You can build success while remaining emotionally grounded. Balance matters, awareness matters, peace matters. Because one day, none of the things you endlessly chased may matter as much as you once believed they would. One day, what may matter most is whether you actually experienced your life peacefully while you had the chance. Did you appreciate ordinary moments? Did you protect your mental peace? Did you spend your years emotionally awake or constantly distracted? Did you live authentically or spend your life trying to impress everyone else? Many people only understand the value of peace after emotional burnout forces them to stop, after anxiety overwhelms them, after relationships collapse, after years of mental exhaustion finally catch up with them. And suddenly, all they truly want is inner calmness again. But Buddhism teaches that you do not need to wait until suffering breaks you completely before choosing peace. You can choose peace now. You can simplify your life now. You can stop feeding unnecessary mental suffering now. You can stop sacrificing your soul for external validation now. Because your life is temporary. Your time is temporary. And one day you may finally realize that peace was always far more important than everything you spent your whole life chasing. 15. The greatest freedom comes when you no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. One of the deepest forms of suffering is constantly feeling the need to prove your worth. Many people spend their entire lives trying to be accepted, admired, respected, or validated by others. They work endlessly to impress people. They change themselves to fit expectations. They hide parts of their personality out of fear of judgment. Slowly, their entire identity becomes controlled by the opinions of the world around them. Buddhism teaches that attachment to validation creates endless emotional suffering. The moment your peace depends on how people see you, your mind becomes emotionally unstable. Every criticism hurts deeply. Every rejection feels personal. Every opinion begins controlling your emotions. Instead of living freely, you begin living like a prisoner of external approval. Many people do not even realize how much of their life is controlled by this invisible need for validation. They choose careers based on what looks impressive. They stay in relationships because they fear what people will think if they leave. They constantly compare themselves to others because society taught them that worth must be measured externally. Because of this, many people lose their authentic self completely. They stop asking what truly brings them peace. They stop listening to their inner voice. They become so focused on appearing successful, attractive, intelligent, or important that they forget how to simply exist honestly. The human mind craves acceptance because rejection feels painful emotionally. This is natural. But Buddhism teaches that emotional attachment to approval becomes dangerous when it controls your entire life. Many people spend decades trying to become enough in the eyes of others while secretly feeling empty inside themselves. No amount of external praise can permanently heal inner insecurity. No amount of attention can permanently create self-worth if the mind constantly doubts itself internally. This is why many people continue chasing validation endlessly, even after receiving success, praise, or recognition. The deeper problem was never truly external. The deeper problem was the belief that their worth depended on other people's approval in the first place. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they are constantly performing for the world. They pretend to be stronger than they feel, happier than they feel, more successful than they feel, more confident than they feel. They wear emotional masks every day because they fear being judged if people see their real struggles, emotions, or imperfections. Over time, this becomes deeply draining. The soul becomes tired from constantly pretending. Buddhism teaches authenticity because peace becomes impossible when you are always trying to become someone else for approval. A person who constantly changes themselves to satisfy others slowly becomes disconnected from their true identity. Many people are afraid of disappointing others, so they continue betraying themselves emotionally. They say yes when they want to say no. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They suppress their real opinions. They abandon their dreams because they fear criticism. Slowly, their life stops belonging to them. Instead, their existence becomes shaped by the expectations of society, family, relationships, and public opinion. But Buddhism reminds us that no matter how much you sacrifice yourself for approval, some people will still judge you anyway. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how kind you are. Some people will criticize you no matter how hard you try. Some people will never fully see your heart, no matter how much effort you give. This is why chasing universal approval becomes endless suffering. You can spend your whole life trying to satisfy everyone and still feel emotionally trapped inside yourself. Many people secretly fear being disliked because they connected rejection with worthlessness. They believe if someone disapproves of them, it means they are not valuable enough. But Buddhism teaches that your worth is not determined by changing human opinions. Opinions constantly change. People project their own pain, insecurities, beliefs, and expectations onto others all the time. If you build your identity on external approval, your peace will constantly rise and fall depending on how people react to you. This creates emotional instability. many people become addicted to validation without realizing it. Social media made this even stronger. People constantly seek likes, praise, attention and approval because those things temporarily make them feel important. But the feeling fades quickly, so the mind keeps needing more validation again. This creates a cycle where self-worth becomes externally dependent, but Buddhism teaches inner stability instead of external dependence. A peaceful mind no longer desperately needs constant reassurance from the world. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionally disconnected from others. It simply means your inner peace no longer completely collapses based on people's opinions. Many people spend years trying to prove their value through success, through appearance, through achievements, through relationships, through status. But often, the need to constantly prove yourself comes from a deeper feeling of inner inadequacy. The mind secretly believes, if I achieve enough, maybe then I will finally feel worthy. But external success rarely permanently fixes internal insecurity. This is why many highly successful people still feel anxious, emotionally empty, or deeply insecure inside themselves. The mind continues searching for worth externally because it never developed peace internally. Buddhism teaches that freedom begins the moment you stop needing the world to constantly confirm your value. The more connected you become with yourself internally, the less desperate you become for approval externally. Many people are so focused on being liked that they stop living honestly. They stay quiet to avoid criticism. They become agreeable even when something deeply hurts them. They constantly seek permission before making choices. They fear authenticity because authenticity risks judgment. But authenticity is where freedom begins. A person who no longer needs to constantly perform for approval experiences life differently. They stop wasting energy trying to impress everyone. They stop emotionally chasing validation. They stop comparing themselves constantly, and slowly the mind becomes lighter. There is something deeply peaceful about no longer feeling the need to prove yourself constantly. You stop over-explaining your decisions. You stop seeking approval before protecting your peace. You stop trying to convince people to understand your worth. You simply live more honestly. Buddhism teaches detachment because attachment to external opinions creates suffering. Most people unconsciously give strangers enormous emotional power over their life. One negative comment ruins their mood. One rejection destroys their confidence. One criticism makes them question their entire identity. This happens because the mind became emotionally dependent on external validation instead of inner awareness. But the truth is, people's opinions are unstable and temporary. Someone who praises you today may criticize you tomorrow. Someone who misunderstands you may never truly know your heart. If your peace depends entirely on these constantly changing opinions, emotional stability becomes impossible. Many people also become trapped in comparison because they are always measuring themselves against others. They compare success, appearance, lifestyle, relationships, achievements, and because comparison never ends, they rarely feel enough. Buddhism teaches that comparison steals peace because it disconnects people from their own path. Every person has different struggles, lessons, timing, and experiences. Constant comparison only creates emotional dissatisfaction. Many people fail to appreciate their own life because they are too busy watching everyone else's. This creates deep emotional emptiness. The mind becomes obsessed with appearing successful instead of actually feeling peaceful. But one day, many people eventually become tired of constantly performing. They become tired of trying to meet impossible expectations, tired of pretending, tired of seeking approval from people who may never truly understand them anyway. And slowly, they begin craving something much simpler: freedom. The freedom to live honestly. The freedom to protect their peace without guilt. The freedom to stop explaining themselves constantly. The freedom to stop chasing validation endlessly. Buddhism reminds us that real freedom is internal. A person who no longer depends completely on external approval becomes emotionally stronger. Not because they stop caring about people completely, but because they stop abandoning themselves trying to satisfy everyone. Many people spend years emotionally shape-shifting depending on who they are around. They become different versions of themselves for different people because they fear rejection. Over time, they lose connection with who they actually are. This creates deep confusion internally. Because peace becomes difficult when your identity constantly depends on external reactions. Buddhism teaches self-awareness because awareness reconnects people with their authentic self again. You begin noticing how much energy you wasted trying to appear acceptable to everyone. You begin realizing how much emotional suffering came from constantly fearing judgment. And slowly, you stop needing to perform all the time. This does not mean everyone will suddenly approve of you. Some people may dislike your boundaries. Some people may misunderstand your growth. Some people may feel uncomfortable when you stop sacrificing yourself for their comfort. But Buddhism teaches that attachment to approval keeps people spiritually trapped. You cannot fully live freely while constantly fearing other people's reactions. Many people delay their dreams because they fear criticism. They avoid making changes because they fear judgment. They remain emotionally stuck because they are terrified of disappointing others. But one day, many realize something painful. They spent more time trying to satisfy people than actually living authentically. And this creates deep regret. Because life moves quickly, time disappears quickly, and constantly living for approval steals years from your existence. Many people reach a point where they realize peace matters more than popularity. Authenticity matters more than performance. Inner calmness matters more than external validation. And slowly, they begin rebuilding their life around truth instead of appearance. Buddhism teaches that freedom begins when you stop asking the world for permission to be yourself. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop mentally collapsing every time someone disapproves of you. You stop chasing acceptance from people who do not truly value your soul. And instead, you begin building something much deeper: inner stability. A peaceful mind no longer needs endless applause to feel valuable. A peaceful mind no longer wastes years trying to become enough for everyone. A peaceful mind understands that self-worth cannot be permanently built on unstable external opinions. This understanding changes everything, because once you stop constantly proving yourself, life becomes lighter. Your relationships become more genuine. Your decisions become more authentic. Your emotions become more stable. And your mind finally experiences a kind of freedom that many people spend their entire lives searching for externally. The freedom of no longer needing to perform for the world in order to feel worthy inside yourself. And perhaps that is one of the greatest forms of peace a human being can ever experience before life quietly comes to an end. 16. The person you become in silence matters more than the image you show the world. Many people spend most of their lives focused on how they appear to the world, but very few stop to examine who they truly are when nobody is watching. They carefully manage their image, protect their reputation, and try to appear successful, strong, confident, or happy in front of others. But Buddhism teaches a deeply important truth. Your real life is not defined by the image you project outwardly. Your real life is defined by the condition of your inner world when everything becomes quiet. Because at the end of the day, there is a huge difference between looking peaceful and actually being peaceful. Many people appear calm externally while internally fighting constant anxiety, fear, comparison, and emotional exhaustion. They smile while silently struggling. They continue functioning while mentally overwhelmed. And because modern life rewards appearance so heavily, many people become more focused on looking successful than actually feeling alive. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness reveals the truth beneath appearances. The mind can pretend in front of others, but it cannot hide from itself forever. Eventually, silence reveals everything people spend years avoiding. When life becomes quiet, many people suddenly feel uncomfortable. They reach for distractions immediately. Social media, noise, entertainment, work, relationships, endless scrolling, constant busyness. Why? Because silence forces them to meet themselves honestly. And for many people, this feels deeply uncomfortable because silence exposes emotional exhaustion. Silence exposes unresolved pain. Silence exposes loneliness. Silence exposes the constant mental chaos people spend years trying to avoid. Many people are terrified of silence because they are not at peace within themselves. The modern world trains people to constantly stay distracted. If the mind is always busy, it never has to fully face itself. But Buddhism teaches that true growth begins when distraction ends. Silence becomes powerful because it reveals the condition of your inner world clearly. A person may impress the world externally while internally feeling spiritually lost. A person may appear successful while secretly feeling emotionally empty. A person may receive endless validation while privately struggling to sit peacefully alone with their own thoughts. This is why Buddhism places such deep importance on inner awareness instead of external image. Because your inner life shapes your entire experience of existence. Many people spend years building an identity for other people to admire while neglecting their relationship with themselves completely. They become addicted to external attention because inwardly they feel disconnected from their own spirit. This creates deep emotional emptiness. The mind constantly searches for validation because it secretly feels incomplete inside. But no amount of praise can permanently calm a mind that feels disconnected from itself. Many people also become emotionally exhausted because they are always performing. They carefully control how they appear. They hide vulnerability. They suppress emotions. They constantly try to maintain an image that feels acceptable to the world around them. Over time, this becomes deeply draining. Pretending requires enormous emotional energy. The soul becomes tired when authenticity disappears. Buddhism teaches authenticity because peace becomes impossible when your outer image and inner reality are completely disconnected from each other. Many people are admired publicly but suffer privately. They built an image that receives approval, but internally they still feel anxious, insecure, lonely, or emotionally disconnected. This is why external success alone rarely creates lasting fulfillment. The human spirit craves authenticity more than performance. Many people become so obsessed with appearing strong that they never allow themselves to heal honestly. They suppress sadness, suppress fear, suppress emotional exhaustion, because they fear being judged if others see their struggles. But suppressed emotions do not disappear. They remain inside the mind and body quietly, influencing thoughts, behaviors, relationships, and emotional reactions over time. This is why some people eventually emotionally collapse after years of pretending to be fine. The mind can only carry unprocessed suffering for so long. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness helps people stop running from themselves. It encourages honest awareness instead of endless emotional performance. You begin noticing your real emotional condition. You begin noticing what actually drains your peace. You begin seeing the difference between external appearance and inner reality. And slowly, this awareness becomes the beginning of healing. Many people secretly fear who they become in silence. Without distractions, they suddenly feel restless. Without stimulation, they feel emotionally empty. Without external validation, they feel uncertain about their worth. This reveals how deeply dependent many people became on external things to avoid facing their inner world. But Buddhism reminds us that silence itself is not the enemy. Silence becomes painful only when the mind is carrying unresolved suffering. A peaceful person does not fear stillness. A peaceful person does not constantly need noise to escape themselves. A peaceful person can sit quietly without feeling consumed by emotional chaos. And this kind of inner peace becomes more valuable than external image. Many people spend years trying to control how they are perceived instead of focusing on the condition of their mind itself. But eventually, life strips external appearances away. Beauty changes, status changes, success changes, public attention changes. Everything external eventually shifts. What remains is your inner relationship with yourself. This is why Buddhism constantly points inward, because the quality of your inner world shapes the quality of your entire life. If your inner world is constantly filled with fear, resentment, comparison, and emotional chaos, external success cannot fully save you from suffering. But if your inner world becomes peaceful, even ordinary life begins feeling meaningful again. Many people underestimate the importance of inner calmness because society rarely celebrates it. Modern culture celebrates visibility, productivity, performance, and achievement. But Buddhism teaches that inner stability matters more than external noise. A calm mind experiences life differently. A calm mind appreciates simple moments more deeply. A calm mind does not desperately chase validation constantly. A calm mind does not collapse emotionally every time life changes unexpectedly. And this emotional stability becomes one of the greatest forms of freedom. Many people spend years trying to impress strangers while neglecting their own soul completely. They know how to appear successful online, but cannot sit peacefully with themselves offline. They know how to gain attention, but struggle to feel inner peace. They know how to entertain others, but secretly feel emotionally exhausted inside. This creates deep inner emptiness, because the soul cannot be fulfilled through performance alone. Buddhism teaches simplicity because simplicity removes unnecessary emotional noise. The more distractions disappear, the more clearly people begin seeing themselves honestly. And honesty becomes deeply transformative. Many people spend years blaming external life for their suffering without realizing how much of their suffering comes from inner disconnection. They abandoned themselves emotionally, ignored their real needs, suppressed emotions for years, constantly sought approval externally, and slowly they lost connection with who they truly were beneath all the performance. But silence reveals truth. When the noise disappears, people begin seeing what truly matters. Not endless comparison, not approval from strangers, not maintaining perfect appearances. What begins mattering is peace, authenticity, connection, meaning, inner freedom. Many people eventually become tired of pretending, tired of constantly proving themselves, tired of performing happiness while secretly suffering internally. And this exhaustion often becomes the beginning of awakening. Because once a person becomes tired enough of superficial living, they begin craving something deeper. Real peace, real authenticity, real emotional freedom. Buddhism teaches that the greatest transformation happens inwardly first, not externally. A person can completely change their inner life, while externally nothing dramatic appears different at first. But internally, everything shifts. The mind becomes calmer, the emotional reactions become softer, the attachment to validation weakens, the need to constantly perform disappears, and slowly the person begins experiencing life more honestly. Many people think freedom means being admired by the world. But Buddhism teaches that real freedom means no longer being emotionally imprisoned by the world's opinions. Real freedom means being able to sit quietly without needing constant distraction. Real freedom means no longer running from yourself. Real freedom means feeling internally whole even when nobody is watching. This is why solitude becomes powerful, because in solitude masks disappear. Distractions disappear, performance disappears, and eventually people meet themselves honestly. For some, this feels painful at first because they spent years avoiding themselves emotionally. But over time, silence becomes healing instead of frightening. You begin understanding yourself more deeply. You begin reconnecting with parts of yourself you ignored for years. You begin noticing what truly matters to your spirit, and slowly your inner world becomes more peaceful. Many people constantly seek attention because they fear feeling invisible. But Buddhism teaches that there is deep peace in no longer needing constant recognition to feel valuable. A peaceful soul does not constantly demand to be seen. A peaceful soul no longer performs worthiness endlessly. A peaceful soul becomes grounded within itself. This kind of peace changes everything. You stop comparing constantly. You stop chasing approval obsessively. You stop abandoning your authenticity for acceptance. And your life begins feeling lighter because your energy is no longer consumed by maintaining false versions of yourself. Many people reach the end of life realizing they spent too much time building an image and not enough time building inner peace. They worried too much about appearances, too much about reputation, too much about what others thought. Meanwhile, their inner world quietly suffered. Buddhism reminds us that eventually, external image fades. What remains is the condition of your mind, the peace you created internally, the authenticity you allowed yourself to live with, the awareness you developed before your time disappeared. Because one day, the world's opinions will no longer matter. The performance will end, the noise will fade, and what will remain is who you truly became within yourself while you were alive. So stop spending your whole life only trying to look peaceful. Become peaceful. Stop spending your whole life trying to appear valuable. Recognize your value internally. Stop spending your whole life performing for the world while abandoning your soul in silence. Because the person you become when nobody is watching matters far more than the image you spend your whole life trying to show everyone else. 14. One day, you will realize peace was more important than everything you chased. Many people spend most of their lives chasing things they believe will finally make them feel complete. They chase money, success, validation, relationships, status, approval, attention, and endless achievements. They believe happiness is always hidden somewhere ahead of them, somewhere in the future they have not reached yet. Because of this, they spend years exhausting themselves mentally and emotionally while ignoring the one thing they truly needed the most: inner peace. Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering comes from endless craving. The mind constantly wants more success, more control, more recognition, more certainty, more external proof that life is finally enough. But the more attached people become to chasing fulfillment externally, the more restless the mind often becomes internally. Many people secretly believe that once they finally achieve enough, peace will automatically arrive afterward. But peace does not appear simply because you gain more things externally. Some of the most successful people in the world are still deeply anxious, emotionally exhausted, lonely, or internally empty. This is because external achievement alone cannot calm a restless mind. The human mind quickly adapts to everything it chases. Something that once felt exciting eventually becomes normal. Then the mind begins wanting something else again. Another goal, another desire, another achievement. And because of this endless cycle, many people spend their entire lives emotionally running without ever feeling fully satisfied. Buddhism reminds us that craving itself becomes a source of suffering. The problem is not wanting to improve your life. Growth and ambition are not wrong. The problem begins when your inner peace completely depends on achieving external things first. Many people sacrifice their mental health trying to become successful. They sacrifice relationships trying to prove themselves. They sacrifice rest because they fear falling behind. Slowly, life stops feeling meaningful and begins feeling like endless emotional pressure. The mind becomes addicted to chasing, and eventually, people forget how to simply live. Many people are physically alive but emotionally disconnected from life because they are constantly consumed by the next thing they want. They cannot enjoy where they are because their attention always remains fixed on what they still lack. This creates deep dissatisfaction. No moment ever feels enough. No achievement feels permanent. No success fully satisfies the mind for long. Buddhism teaches that peace cannot grow inside a mind constantly obsessed with more. Many people only realize this after years of emotional exhaustion. They finally achieve things they once dreamed about, yet internally they still feel restless. They still overthink. They still feel pressure. They still feel emotionally disconnected from themselves. This becomes deeply confusing for many people because they spent years believing success would automatically create peace inside them. But peace is an inner condition, not an external reward. A peaceful mind can experience joy even during simple moments. A restless mind continues suffering even inside luxury and achievement. This is why Buddhism focuses so deeply on inner awareness instead of external accumulation alone. Many people are constantly trying to build a successful life while completely neglecting their inner world. They focus on appearances, productivity, achievement, and validation, while their emotional life quietly suffers underneath everything. Over time, they become spiritually exhausted. They lose connection with themselves. They lose the ability to enjoy ordinary life. They stop appreciating simple moments because their mind is constantly chasing something else. The sad truth is that many people sacrifice years of peace trying to impress people who are not even thinking about them as much as they imagine. They stress endlessly over social status. They compare themselves constantly. They seek approval from people who may never truly understand them. And slowly they lose themselves in the process. Buddhism teaches that attachment to external validation creates suffering because the mind becomes emotionally dependent on things it cannot fully control. The opinions of people constantly change. Society constantly changes. Success itself constantly changes. If your peace depends entirely on external conditions, your emotional state will always feel unstable. Many people also believe peace is boring because modern life glorifies constant movement, stimulation, pressure, and competition. People are taught to always achieve more, consume more, and prove more. Slowing down almost feels wrong to them. Rest feels guilty. Simplicity feels unimportant. But Buddhism reminds us that a peaceful life is not an empty life. A peaceful life is a meaningful life. There is something deeply valuable about waking up without constant anxiety controlling your mind. There is something powerful about being able to sit quietly without emotional chaos consuming you. There is something beautiful about simple moments fully experienced with awareness. But many people lose these experiences because their mind never truly slows down. They become emotionally addicted to pressure. Even during peaceful moments, they continue mentally carrying stress. They cannot fully relax because their identity became attached to striving constantly. Many people secretly fear stillness because stillness forces them to face themselves honestly. Without distractions, achievements, or external validation, they suddenly feel emotionally empty. This is why some people keep chasing endlessly. Not because they truly need more, but because they are trying to avoid the discomfort of inner emptiness. Buddhism teaches that true peace begins when you stop running from yourself. The more connected you become internally, the less dependent you become on external things to feel whole. Many people are always trying to become enough through achievement, enough through money, enough through relationships, enough through status, enough through appearance. But Buddhism teaches that your worth is not something you earn through endless external success. Your existence already has value. The problem is that society trains people to constantly feel incomplete. If people felt internally whole, they would stop endlessly chasing validation from the world around them. But modern culture often profits from emotional dissatisfaction. People are constantly told they need more in order to finally feel happy. More beauty, more success, more followers, more approval, more productivity. And because of this, many people spend their lives emotionally exhausted while never feeling truly fulfilled. Buddhism teaches contentment not because ambition is wrong, but because endless dissatisfaction destroys peace. A person who cannot appreciate the present moment will continue suffering no matter how much they achieve externally. Many people also sacrifice relationships while chasing success. They become so distracted by goals, pressure, and productivity that they stop being emotionally present with people they love. One day, they suddenly realize time passed quickly and many meaningful moments were missed forever. The painful truth is that people rarely regret not working more at the end of life. They regret not living more, not resting more, not appreciating loved ones more deeply, not protecting their peace earlier, not allowing themselves to feel alive while they still had the chance. Buddhism constantly reminds people of impermanence because awareness of impermanence changes priorities. When you truly understand that life is temporary, many things lose their power over you. The endless need to impress people begins fading. Comparison begins losing importance. Meaningless stress starts feeling unnecessary. And slowly, peace becomes more valuable than external validation. Many people reach a point in life where they become tired of emotional chaos. They become tired of overthinking constantly, tired of pressure, tired of comparison, tired of endless mental noise. And suddenly they begin craving something much simpler: peace, not perfection, not fame, not endless achievement, just peace, a calm mind, a meaningful life, real connection, freedom from emotional heaviness. Buddhism teaches that inner peace is one of the greatest forms of wealth a person can ever have. Because without peace, external success eventually feels empty. A person with inner peace experiences life differently. They appreciate ordinary moments more deeply. They no longer desperately chase approval. They stop mentally fighting life constantly. They become emotionally lighter. And because of this, life begins feeling more meaningful. Many people mistakenly believe peace means avoiding all challenges or responsibilities. But Buddhism teaches that peace is an inner relationship with life itself. Problems may still exist. Difficult moments may still happen. But a peaceful mind does not become completely consumed by every external situation. This emotional stability becomes deeply powerful. Many people live their whole lives controlled by external conditions. If something goes wrong, their peace disappears instantly. If someone criticizes them, their confidence collapses. If life becomes uncertain, fear controls them completely. But Buddhism teaches inner balance. A peaceful mind remains grounded even while life changes constantly around it. And this peace becomes far more valuable than temporary success without emotional stability. Many people spend decades chasing things they thought would complete them, only to discover that what they truly wanted all along was simply inner calmness. The ability to breathe peacefully, the ability to sleep without endless anxiety, the ability to sit quietly without emotional chaos, the ability to feel present and grateful instead of constantly restless. This is why simplicity becomes beautiful to many people later in life. After years of chasing, many finally realize how precious peace actually was. A peaceful morning becomes more meaningful than status. A calm mind becomes more valuable than endless approval. Authentic connection becomes more important than superficial attention. And slowly, priorities begin changing. Buddhism reminds us that life becomes lighter when the mind stops endlessly craving more. This does not mean giving up goals or ambition completely. It means no longer sacrificing your soul trying to achieve external things while completely neglecting inner peace. You can grow while still protecting your spirit. You can work hard while still appreciating life. You can build success while remaining emotionally grounded. Balance matters. Awareness matters. peace matters, because one day none of the things you endlessly chased may matter as much as you once believed they would. One day, what may matter most is whether you actually experienced your life peacefully while you had the chance. Did you appreciate ordinary moments? Did you protect your mental peace? Did you spend your years emotionally awake or constantly distracted? Did you live authentically or spend your life trying to impress everyone else? Many people only understand the value of peace after emotional burnout forces them to stop, after anxiety overwhelms them, after relationships collapse, after years of mental exhaustion finally catch up with them, and suddenly all they truly want is inner calmness again. But Buddhism teaches that you do not need to wait until suffering breaks you completely before choosing peace. You can choose peace now. You can simplify your life now. You can stop feeding unnecessary mental suffering now. You can stop sacrificing your soul for external validation now. Because your life is temporary, your time is temporary, and one day you may finally realize that peace was always far more important than everything you spent your whole life chasing. 15. The greatest freedom comes when you no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. One of the deepest forms of suffering is constantly feeling the need to prove your worth. Many people spend their entire lives trying to be accepted, admired, respected, or validated by others. They work endlessly to impress people. They change themselves to fit expectations. They hide parts of their personality out of fear of judgment. Slowly, their entire identity becomes controlled by the opinions of the world around them. Buddhism teaches that attachment to validation creates endless emotional suffering. The moment your peace depends on how people see you, your mind becomes emotionally unstable. Every criticism hurts deeply. Every rejection feels personal. Every opinion begins controlling your emotions. Instead of living freely, you begin living like a prisoner of external approval. Many people do not even realize how much of their life is controlled by this invisible need for validation. They choose careers based on what looks impressive. They stay in relationships because they fear what people will think if they leave. They constantly compare themselves to others because society taught them that worth must be measured externally. Because of this, many people lose their authentic self completely. They stop asking what truly brings them peace. They stop listening to their inner voice. They become so focused on appearing successful, attractive, intelligent, or important that they forget how to simply exist honestly. The human mind craves acceptance because rejection feels painful emotionally. This is natural. But Buddhism teaches that emotional attachment to approval becomes dangerous when it controls your entire life. Many people spend decades trying to become enough in the eyes of others while secretly feeling empty inside themselves. No amount of external praise can permanently heal inner insecurity. No amount of attention can permanently create self-worth if the mind constantly doubts itself internally. This is why many people continue chasing validation endlessly even after receiving success, praise, or recognition. The deeper problem was never truly external. The deeper problem was the belief that their worth depended on other people's approval in the first place. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they are constantly performing for the world. They pretend to be stronger than they feel, happier than they feel, more successful than they feel, more confident than they feel. They wear emotional masks every day because they fear being judged if people see their real struggles, emotions, or imperfections. Over time, this becomes deeply draining. The soul becomes tired from constantly pretending. Buddhism teaches authenticity because peace becomes impossible when you are always trying to become someone else for approval. A person who constantly changes themselves to satisfy others slowly becomes disconnected from their true identity. Many people are afraid of disappointing others, so they continue betraying themselves emotionally. They say yes when they want to say no. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They suppress their real opinions. They abandon their dreams because they fear criticism. Slowly, their life stops belonging to them. Instead, their existence becomes shaped by the expectations of society, family, relationships, and public opinion. But Buddhism reminds us that no matter how much you sacrifice yourself for approval, some people will still judge you anyway. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how kind you are. Some people will criticize you no matter how hard you try. Some people will never fully see your heart, no matter how much effort you give. This is why chasing universal approval becomes endless suffering. You can spend your whole life trying to satisfy everyone and still feel emotionally trapped inside yourself. Many people secretly fear being disliked because they connected rejection with worthlessness. They believe if someone disapproves of them, it means they are not valuable enough. But Buddhism teaches that your worth is not determined by changing human opinions. Opinions constantly change. People project their own pain, insecurities, beliefs, and expectations onto others all the time. If you build your identity on external approval, your peace will constantly rise and fall, depending on how people react to you. This creates emotional instability. Many people become addicted to validation without realizing it. Social media made this even stronger. People constantly seek likes, praise, attention, and approval because those things temporarily make them feel important. But the feeling fades quickly, so the mind keeps needing more validation again. This creates a cycle where self-worth becomes externally dependent. But Buddhism teaches inner stability instead of external dependence. A peaceful mind no longer desperately needs constant reassurance from the world. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionally disconnected from others. It simply means your inner peace no longer completely collapses based on people's opinions. Many people spend years trying to prove their value through success, through appearance, through achievements, through relationships, through status. But often, the need to constantly prove yourself comes from a deeper feeling of inner inadequacy. The mind secretly believes, if I achieve enough, maybe then I will finally feel worthy. But external success rarely permanently fixes internal insecurity. This is why many highly successful people still feel anxious, emotionally empty, or deeply insecure inside themselves. The mind continues searching for worth externally because it never developed peace internally. Buddhism teaches that freedom begins the moment you stop needing the world to constantly confirm your value. The more connected you become with yourself internally, the less desperate you become for approval externally. Many people are so focused on being liked that they stop living honestly. They stay quiet to avoid criticism. They become agreeable even when something deeply hurts them. They constantly seek permission before making choices. They fear authenticity because authenticity risks judgment. But authenticity is where freedom begins. A person who no longer needs to constantly perform for approval experiences life differently. They stop wasting energy trying to impress everyone. They stop emotionally chasing validation. They stop comparing themselves constantly. And slowly, the mind becomes lighter. There is something deeply peaceful about no longer feeling the need to prove yourself constantly. You stop over-explaining your decisions. You stop seeking approval before protecting your peace. You stop trying to convince people to understand your worth. You simply live more honestly. Buddhism teaches detachment because attachment to external opinions creates suffering. Most people unconsciously give strangers enormous emotional power over their life. One negative comment ruins their mood. One rejection destroys their confidence. One criticism makes them question their entire identity. This happens because the mind became emotionally dependent on external validation instead of inner awareness. But the truth is, people's opinions are unstable and temporary. Someone who praises you today may criticize you tomorrow. Someone who misunderstands you may never truly know your heart. If your peace depends entirely on these constantly changing opinions, emotional stability becomes impossible. Many people also become trapped in comparison because they are always measuring themselves against others. They compare success, appearance, lifestyle, relationships, achievements, and because comparison never ends, they rarely feel enough. Buddhism teaches that comparison steals peace because it disconnects people from their own path. Every person has different struggles, lessons, timing, and experiences. Constant comparison only creates emotional dissatisfaction. Many people fail to appreciate their own life because they are too busy watching everyone else's. This creates deep emotional emptiness. The mind becomes obsessed with appearing successful instead of actually feeling peaceful. But one day, many people eventually become tired of constantly performing. They become tired of trying to meet impossible expectations, tired of pretending, tired of seeking approval from people who may never truly understand them anyway. And slowly, they begin craving something much simpler: freedom. The freedom to live honestly. The freedom to protect their peace without guilt. The freedom to stop explaining themselves constantly. The freedom to stop chasing validation endlessly. Buddhism reminds us that real freedom is internal. A person who no longer depends completely on external approval becomes emotionally stronger, not because they stop caring about people completely, but because they stop abandoning themselves trying to satisfy everyone. Many people spend years emotionally shape-shifting depending on who they are around. They become different versions of themselves for different people because they fear rejection. Over time, they lose connection with who they actually are. This creates deep confusion internally. Because peace becomes difficult when your identity constantly depends on external reactions. Buddhism teaches self-awareness because awareness reconnects people with their authentic self again. You begin noticing how much energy you wasted trying to appear acceptable to everyone. You begin realizing how much emotional suffering came from constantly fearing judgment. And slowly, you stop needing to perform all the time. This does not mean everyone will suddenly approve of you. Some people may dislike your boundaries. Some people may misunderstand your growth. Some people may feel uncomfortable when you stop sacrificing yourself for their comfort. But Buddhism teaches that attachment to approval keeps people spiritually trapped. You cannot fully live freely while constantly fearing other people's reactions. Many people delay their dreams because they fear criticism. They avoid making changes because they fear judgment. They remain emotionally stuck because they are terrified of disappointing others. But one day, many realize something painful. They spent more time trying to satisfy people than actually living authentically. And this creates deep regret. Because life moves quickly, time disappears quickly, and constantly living for approval steals years from your existence. Many people reach a point where they realize peace matters more than popularity, authenticity matters more than performance, inner calmness matters more than external validation. And slowly they begin rebuilding their life around truth instead of appearance. Buddhism teaches that freedom begins when you stop asking the world for permission to be yourself. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop mentally collapsing every time someone disapproves of you. You stop chasing acceptance from people who do not truly value your soul. And instead, you begin building something much deeper: inner stability. A peaceful mind no longer needs endless applause to feel valuable. A peaceful mind no longer wastes years trying to become enough for everyone. A peaceful mind understands that self-worth cannot be permanently built on unstable external opinions. This understanding changes everything. Because once you stop constantly proving yourself, life becomes lighter. Your relationships become more genuine, your decisions become more authentic, your emotions become more stable, and your mind finally experiences a kind of freedom that many people spend their entire lives searching for externally. The freedom of no longer needing to perform for the world in order to feel worthy inside yourself. And perhaps that is one of the greatest forms of peace a human being can ever experience before life quietly comes to an end. Many people spend most of their lives focused on how they appear to the world, but very few stop to examine who they truly are when nobody is watching. They carefully manage their image, protect their reputation, and try to appear successful, strong, confident, or happy in front of others. But Buddhism teaches a deeply important truth. Your real life is not defined by the image you project outwardly. Your real life is defined by the condition of your inner world when everything becomes quiet. Because at the end of the day, there is a huge difference between looking peaceful and actually being peaceful. Many people appear calm externally while internally fighting constant anxiety, fear, comparison, and emotional exhaustion. They smile while silently struggling. They continue functioning while mentally overwhelmed. And because modern life rewards appearance so heavily, many people become more focused on looking successful than actually feeling alive. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness reveals the truth beneath appearances. The mind can pretend in front of others, but it cannot hide from itself forever. Eventually, silence reveals everything people spend years avoiding. When life becomes quiet, many people suddenly feel uncomfortable. They reach for distractions immediately. Social media, noise, entertainment, work, relationships, endless scrolling, constant busyness. Why? Because silence forces them to meet themselves honestly. And for many people, this feels deeply uncomfortable. Because silence exposes emotional exhaustion. Silence exposes unresolved pain. Silence exposes loneliness. Silence exposes the constant mental chaos people spend years trying to avoid. Many people are terrified of silence because they are not at peace within themselves. The modern world trains people to constantly stay distracted. If the mind is always busy, it never has to fully face itself. But Buddhism teaches that true growth begins when distraction ends. Silence becomes powerful because it reveals the condition of your inner world clearly. A person may impress the world externally while internally feeling spiritually lost. A person may appear successful while secretly feeling emotionally empty. A person may receive endless validation while privately struggling to sit peacefully alone with their own thoughts. This is why Buddhism places such deep importance on inner awareness instead of external image. Because your inner life shapes your entire experience of existence. Many people spend years building an identity for other people to admire while neglecting their relationship with themselves completely. They become addicted to external attention because inwardly they feel disconnected from their own spirit. This creates deep emotional emptiness. The mind constantly searches for validation because it secretly feels incomplete inside. But no amount of praise can permanently calm a mind that feels disconnected from itself. Many people also become emotionally exhausted because they are always performing. They carefully control how they appear. They hide vulnerability. They suppress emotions. They constantly try to maintain an image that feels acceptable to the world around them. Over time, this becomes deeply draining. Pretending requires enormous emotional energy. The soul becomes tired when authenticity disappears. Buddhism teaches authenticity because peace becomes impossible when your outer image and inner reality are completely disconnected from each other. Many people are admired publicly but suffer privately. They built an image that receives approval, but internally they still feel anxious, insecure, lonely, or emotionally disconnected. This is why external success alone rarely creates lasting fulfillment. The human spirit craves authenticity more than performance. Many people become so obsessed with appearing strong that they never allow themselves to heal honestly. They suppress sadness, suppress fear, suppress emotional exhaustion, because they fear being judged if others see their struggles. But suppressed emotions do not disappear. They remain inside the mind and body quietly, influencing thoughts, behaviors, relationships, and emotional reactions over time. This is why some people eventually emotionally collapse after years of pretending to be fine. The mind can only carry unprocessed suffering for so long. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness helps people stop running from themselves. It encourages honest awareness instead of endless emotional performance. You begin noticing your real emotional condition. You begin noticing what actually drains your peace. You begin seeing the difference between external appearance and inner reality. And slowly, this awareness becomes the beginning of healing. Many people secretly fear who they become in silence. Without distractions, they suddenly feel restless. Without stimulation, they feel emotionally empty. Without external validation, they feel uncertain about their worth. This reveals how deeply dependent many people became on external things to avoid facing their inner world. But Buddhism reminds us that silence itself is not the enemy. Silence becomes painful only when the mind is carrying unresolved suffering. A peaceful person does not fear stillness. A peaceful person does not constantly need noise to escape themselves. A peaceful person can sit quietly without feeling consumed by emotional chaos. And this kind of inner peace becomes more valuable than external image. Many people spend years trying to control how they are perceived instead of focusing on the condition of their mind itself. But eventually, life strips external appearances away. Beauty changes, status changes, success changes, public attention changes. Everything external eventually shifts. What remains is your inner relationship with yourself. This is why Buddhism constantly points inward, because the quality of your inner world shapes the quality of your entire life. If your inner world is constantly filled with fear, resentment, comparison, and emotional chaos, external success cannot fully save you from suffering. But if your inner world becomes peaceful, even ordinary life begins feeling meaningful again. Many people underestimate the importance of inner calmness because society rarely celebrates it. Modern culture celebrates visibility, productivity, performance, and achievement. But Buddhism teaches that inner stability matters more than external noise. A calm mind experiences life differently. A calm mind appreciates simple moments more deeply. A calm mind does not desperately chase validation constantly. A calm mind does not collapse emotionally every time life changes unexpectedly. And this emotional stability becomes one of the greatest forms of freedom. Many people spend years trying to impress strangers while neglecting their own soul completely. They know how to appear successful online, but cannot sit peacefully with themselves offline. They know how to gain attention, but struggle to feel inner peace. They know how to entertain others, but secretly feel emotionally exhausted inside. This creates deep inner emptiness because the soul cannot be fulfilled through performance alone. Buddhism teaches simplicity because simplicity removes unnecessary emotional noise. The more distractions disappear, the more clearly people begin seeing themselves honestly, and honesty becomes deeply transformative. Many people spend years blaming external life for their suffering without realizing how much of their suffering comes from inner disconnection. They abandoned themselves emotionally, ignored their real needs, suppressed emotions for years, constantly sought approval externally. And slowly, they lost connection with who they truly were beneath all the performance. But silence reveals truth. When the noise disappears, people begin seeing what truly matters. Not endless comparison, not approval from strangers, not maintaining perfect appearances. What begins mattering is peace, authenticity, connection, meaning, inner freedom. Many people eventually become tired of pretending, tired of constantly proving themselves, tired of performing happiness while secretly suffering internally. And this exhaustion often becomes the beginning of awakening. Because once a person becomes tired enough of superficial living, they begin craving something deeper, real peace, real authenticity, real emotional freedom. Buddhism teaches that the greatest transformation happens inwardly first, not externally. A person can completely change their inner life, while externally nothing dramatic appears different at first. But internally, everything shifts. The mind becomes calmer, the emotional reactions become softer, the attachment to validation weakens, the need to constantly perform disappears. And slowly, the person begins experiencing life more honestly. Many people think freedom means being admired by the world, but Buddhism teaches that real freedom means no longer being emotionally imprisoned by the world's opinions. Real freedom means being able to sit quietly without needing constant distraction. Real freedom means no longer running from yourself. Real freedom means feeling internally whole even when nobody is watching. This is why solitude becomes powerful. Because in solitude, masks disappear, distractions disappear, performance disappears, and eventually people meet themselves honestly. One of the biggest illusions the human mind creates is the belief that there will always be more time later. More time to heal, more time to rest, more time to fix relationships, more time to follow dreams, more time to finally become peaceful and happy. Because of this illusion, many people spend their entire lives postponing what truly matters, while time quietly disappears in the background every single day. Buddhism teaches that life is impermanent, fragile, and temporary. Everything changes constantly. Every breath moves closer toward the end of life, whether people are fully aware of it or not. But instead of living with awareness, most people live as if life will continue forever. They waste years trapped in distractions, emotional suffering, meaningless pressure, endless comparison, and unconscious routines. And slowly, life slips away. Many people wake up every morning already mentally distracted. Instead of experiencing life deeply, they immediately become consumed by stress, responsibilities, notifications, worries, and overthinking. Days begin repeating themselves automatically. One week becomes another. Months disappear. Years pass quickly. And because people assume there will always be more time later, they rarely stop long enough to truly experience the present moment. The sad truth is that many people are physically alive but emotionally absent from their own life. They are constantly preparing to live someday in the future instead of fully living now. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness wakes people up from unconscious living. It reminds people that life is happening right now, not later. The present moment is not simply preparation for life. The present moment is life itself. But many people treat today like it is endless. They delay joy, delay peace, delay healing, delay honesty, delay meaningful connection, and often they do not realize how precious ordinary moments were until those moments are already gone forever. Many people spend years chasing things they believe will finally make them happy someday. More success, more money, more approval, more achievement. But while they are endlessly chasing the future, they fail to notice the life already unfolding around them right now. A conversation with someone they love, a peaceful morning, a simple laugh, a calm breath, a quiet evening without stress. These moments seem small, but one day they become memories impossible to return to again. Buddhism reminds us that impermanence gives life meaning. Because things do not last forever, they become precious. Because time is limited, moments matter deeply. But most people forget this. They move through life distracted and emotionally asleep. Many people waste years carrying emotional burdens that never truly mattered as much as they once believed. Arguments, resentment, ego battles, comparison, fear of judgment, the need to impress strangers. They sacrifice their peace for temporary things, while life itself quietly continues passing by. And one day, many suddenly realize how much time disappeared while they were mentally consumed by things that no longer matter. Buddhism teaches awareness of death not to create fear, but to awaken people to life. Because when a person truly understands that life is temporary, priorities begin changing naturally. The need to constantly prove yourself weakens. The obsession with external validation loses power. Meaningless drama becomes less important. And slowly, peace becomes more valuable than performance. Many people spend their whole life assuming they will eventually have enough time to become who they truly want to be. But life does not guarantee unlimited tomorrows. People leave unexpectedly. Bodies age unexpectedly. Circumstances change unexpectedly. Nothing in life is fully permanent or guaranteed. Yet most people continue living unconsciously as if they have endless opportunities left. This creates deep regret later in life. Many people reach old age realizing they spent too much time worrying and not enough time living. Too much time chasing approval. Too much time carrying stress. Too much time trying to become enough for everyone else. And not enough time simply experiencing peace while they still had the chance. Buddhism teaches that suffering increases when people mentally live everywhere except the present moment. The mind constantly revisits the past or fears the future. Because of this, people miss the only moment where life can actually be experienced. Right now. This breath, this conversation, this ordinary moment. Many people think life is hidden inside huge future achievements. But often, life quietly exists inside simple moments. People ignore every day. The sound of rain, the warmth of sunlight, a peaceful walk, a genuine conversation, silence without anxiety. But distracted minds rarely notice these moments fully. This is why many people later feel like life moved too quickly. Their attention was never truly present while life was happening. Buddhism reminds us that attention shapes experience. A distracted mind experiences life shallowly. A present mind experiences life deeply. Many people become so trapped inside routines and responsibilities that they forget they are alive at all. They survive instead of truly living. They wake up exhausted, rush through the day distracted, fall asleep mentally overwhelmed, and repeat the cycle again tomorrow. Years disappear this way, and often people only wake up after pain interrupts the routine. A loss happens, a health scare happens. Someone dies unexpectedly, a relationship ends, and suddenly people realize how temporary everything truly was. Suddenly, the things they once obsessed over no longer feel important. What matters becomes peace, connection, presence, authenticity, time itself. Buddhism teaches impermanence because awareness of impermanence creates gratitude. When you deeply understand that nothing lasts forever, you begin appreciating life more consciously. You stop taking people for granted. You stop wasting energy on meaningless emotional battles. You stop postponing joy endlessly, and slowly you begin living more intentionally. Many people believe they will start living fully once everything becomes perfect. But life never becomes perfectly stable forever. There will always be uncertainty, challenges, responsibilities, pain, change. If you wait for perfect conditions before allowing yourself to truly live, you may spend your entire existence waiting. Buddhism teaches acceptance because acceptance allows people to experience life even during imperfect circumstances. Peace is not found after controlling every external condition perfectly. Peace is found through awareness within the present moment itself. Many people are so focused on becoming successful that they forget to become peaceful. They know how to achieve externally, but not how to rest internally. They know how to impress others, but not how to sit quietly with themselves. And eventually, emotional exhaustion appears because the soul cannot survive endless pressure forever. One of the saddest things in life is realizing you spent years emotionally disconnected from your own existence. Many people rarely stop long enough to ask themselves important questions. Am I truly alive right now? Am I experiencing life deeply? Or am I simply surviving routines while time disappears? Buddhism encourages self-awareness because unconscious living creates deep regret later. Many people assume they always have more time to become authentic, peaceful, healed, or emotionally free. But nobody truly knows how much time remains. This truth can feel uncomfortable, but it is also deeply liberating. Because once people understand time is limited, they begin protecting it more carefully. They stop wanting to waste years trapped in meaningless suffering. They stop wanting to constantly chase validation from strangers. They stop wanting to stay emotionally imprisoned by fear, and slowly they begin craving something much deeper, a meaningful life. Not necessarily a perfect life, not necessarily a famous life, but a life that actually feels real. Many people spend years trying to appear successful while secretly feeling spiritually empty. Buddhism reminds us that inner peace matters more than external performance, because at the end of life, most achievements lose importance compared to the quality of your inner experience. Did you feel alive? Did you appreciate people while they were still here? Did you protect your peace? Did you allow yourself to experience joy without constantly postponing it? Or were you mentally distracted almost the entire time? Many people do not realize how deeply fear steals life from them. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of uncertainty. Because of fear, they avoid change, avoid honesty, avoid following what truly matters to their soul. Slowly, they become trapped inside safe but emotionally empty lives. Buddhism teaches courage through awareness. Awareness reveals that life itself is uncertain no matter what path you choose. Since uncertainty already exists naturally, wasting your life trapped in fear only creates more suffering. Many people are waiting for permission to finally live authentically. Permission to rest, permission to slow down, permission to choose peace, permission to leave what destroys them. But life is moving whether they choose consciously or not. Time continues disappearing every single day. Buddhism reminds us that each moment is temporary and irreplaceable. Once a day ends, it never returns again. Once a year passes, it disappears forever. Human life itself is temporary. This understanding is not meant to create sadness. It is meant to awaken gratitude, because awareness of limited time makes life feel more sacred. A peaceful moment becomes precious. A deep conversation becomes meaningful. An ordinary day becomes beautiful. Many people assume extraordinary experiences are what make life meaningful. But often, meaning exists inside ordinary moments, fully experienced with awareness. The problem is that distracted minds rarely notice them. Many people are always mentally somewhere else. While eating, they worry. While resting, they overthink. While talking to loved ones, they check screens. Because of this, life passes by while their attention remains absent. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people with reality itself. It reminds them to return to the present moment before it disappears forever. Many people spend their lives trying to prepare for the future while completely neglecting the present. But the future eventually becomes the present too. And if the mind never learns how to experience the present consciously, life continues disappearing, no matter how much external success is achieved. This is why inner awareness matters more than many people realize. A mindful person experiences life deeply. A distracted person watches life pass quickly. Many people only understand the value of time after losing something important. But Buddhism teaches that wisdom means waking up before loss forces awareness upon you painfully. You do not need tragedy to appreciate life. You can wake up now. You can become present now. You can stop postponing peace now, because one day your life story will end. And perhaps one of the greatest regrets a human being can carry is realizing they spent most of their existence mentally distracted, emotionally exhausted, and constantly waiting for someday, while life itself was already quietly slipping away every moment, the entire time. Life moves quietly. Days pass. People change. Time disappears. And before most people realize it, years of their existence are already gone. This is why Buddhism constantly reminds us to wake up now, not someday later. Do not spend your whole life trapped inside fear, overthinking, comparison, emotional exhaustion, and endless distraction. Do not keep postponing peace while waiting for perfect circumstances that may never fully arrive. Life is happening now, in this very moment. Every lesson in this journey points toward one truth. Real peace does not come from controlling the entire world around you. It comes from understanding your mind, letting go of unnecessary suffering, and finally reconnecting with yourself again. The more attached you become to external things, the heavier life feels. But the more aware, present, and peaceful you become within yourself, the lighter your soul begins to feel. You stop needing constant validation. You stop carrying emotional weight that destroys your spirit. You stop sacrificing yourself for things that do not truly matter. And slowly you begin living instead of merely surviving. Buddhism teaches that happiness is not hidden somewhere far away. Peace begins the moment you stop abandoning the present moment. It begins when you appreciate ordinary life again. A quiet morning, a deep breath, a calm mind, a peaceful heart. These simple things become deeply meaningful once awareness returns. One day, your life will end just like every human life eventually does. And when that moment comes, the things that will matter most are not how much you achieved, how many people approved of you, or how perfectly you controlled life. What will matter is whether you truly lived, whether you protected your peace, whether you loved deeply, lived honestly, and allowed yourself to fully experience the gift of being alive before time disappeared. So slow down sometimes. Breathe deeply sometimes. Protect your inner peace carefully. Let go of what destroys your soul. Stop waiting for life to finally begin, because this moment is your life. And the greatest tragedy is not death itself. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of life without ever truly living while you still had the chance.